Hello. How's it going? How's everybody doing? I'm Captain Technical Difficulties as always. I hope everyone is well. Hey, Alibaba Furball, how's it going? How's it going? Phoenix, how are you? Let me fix my camera. There we go. How is everybody? How are you? Can you hear me? So in the meanwhile, I have full intentions on actually making something today. I've already cut my shapes. I'm in this whole weird Afro-Caribbean thing, and I've been watching a show where a man, his name is Porkpie, but he actually wears a pork pie hat. And last night I was sitting there and I was like, you know what? I can make one of those. How are you, Phoenix?
I am hanging in there. It's been a hot minute of a day, but I'm glad you've had a great day.
You know, it's been 3 months of me beating myself up in anticipation. Court is awful. And like stupid YouTube drama spilled off into real life.
Yeah.
And I never thought, and like honestly, I never thought that would happen to me. Cold here, cold and windy with snow. Yikes. You know, if it makes anyone feel any better, it might snow in Los Angeles tonight.
I saw that blizzard warning for LA County today. My friend was like, what?
And I live like right at the bottom of the mountain, so it might actually snow where I live. So we're excited. Yeah, Alibaba, like court's the worst. And I think because I have PTSD from divorce court, just the word court strikes fear in me. Because I went through a hard, I had a hardcore deal in divorce court, and so it scarred me and made me never want to go to court again. And so today, you know, honestly, Phoenix, I don't even know where to begin. Where should I begin? Like
I don't know. I don't know the story or the backstory. You start where you feel comfortable telling us the story while I mark pieces.
I started YouTube like 4 years ago in my actual real name. Like you know, I started my YouTube channel like thinking it was like Facebook. You know? And I quickly learned to switch I learned very quickly to switch my name. But long story short, within a year and a half, I found people to stream with, which was part of a larger crowd. And I had no idea what I was getting myself into. Which is the truth, which is like zealots of any nature are dangerous. It doesn't matter if it's a positive thing or if it's a negative thing. If you're in a group of people who are overzealot, it can get dangerous quickly.
Fair.
And I was involved with a group of people that basically became the very people they were claiming that they were running from, you know?
It seems to be a frequent a frequent reoccurrence we're noticing.
Would you consider that a human trait though? Because I'm trying, like, I try to understand people who even hate me. Like if someone hates me, I'm like, why? Like, it's not like I'm going to sit down with them if it's dangerous, but like, because I don't think along those lines. Is what I'm trying to say, you know? So hatred, to me, hatred is a pathological descent into violence. So if you sit around and obsess over something and you think about it, when you see that person, when you hit that moment, you're gonna snap, you know?
Yeah, we need to choose thoughtfully who lives rent-free in our heads.
And I think that's the one thing that's tripping me out the most about all of this, because I sit at home and like literally dance around with headphones on. And I'm like fishing on Facebook, my local Facebook market.
Hey, Hands!
Who has the
Good
most
evening,
the cheapest.
son.
He was talking to his girlfriend. Obviously,
Aw.
the conversation's over.
And they had a good time. Well, I'm glad to see you. I'm glad you had a nice chat, and welcome.
Hey, how's it going? So, long story short, I rose up and I crashed just like anybody else, because when you're the new guy, you have stock. Like when you're new in a crowd of people, everybody wants to know about you. And what I'm talking about is years ago. And I am very naive in a way where I'll be friends with anyone. Okay. So with that being said, I befriended somebody who was, let's say, at the time, every time I would get attention, they would say something negative about me. Okay. And what I didn't know that in the YouTube world, I'm the kind of person, if I have a problem with someone, I'm gonna take them to the DMs and be like, hey man, like, no, that's not okay. Or like, hey, I'm gonna throw a Mack truck at you. Or I'm not gonna
WTF, man.
I'm not gonna fight you in chat unless I'm really ticked. And I did that one person, but that person doxed me. But that's the end of the story. Long story short, I blocked this person almost 2.5 years ago, and that's important to this story. Okay. And that was the first person I ever blocked because this person was creepy to me, and they were saying overtly sexual, weird things to me when I was really just taking their thunder. And I have a philosophy: if I don't like someone, I just won't stream with them. I won't involve myself in what they're doing. I just disappear because it's the internet, you know?
Right.
So with all of that being said, I got into it. Hey, Mark, only 3. Hey, how's it going? Good to see you. So let's flash forward to the future. And speaking of living rent free, keep in mind the person I was just talking about, I had no contact with them for almost 2 years. Almost 2.5 years. Okay. So I got into it with my neighbor, and people like, they look at you I'm one of those people that you can't punk me. You can try. But I was raised by old school, like, toxic masculinity, like, and I combat that. I'm always like, hey, like, I'm semi hippie in a way where I'm like, live and let live. But if you mess with me, I'm gonna make you regret it. It's the Mike Tyson thing. Like, only my voice is high. That's it. That's it. Like, run up on Mike Tyson and see what happens, So, long story short, me and my neighbor got into it, and this fool pulled out his phone and then started acting like I was the aggressor, when in truth, it was him. Okay. So he shared my video probably on Facebook because he's a Facebook kind of guy, but it got picked up by a major YouTuber, and the video I was in was seen by over 500,000 people.
Whoa, you went viral accidentally.
Showing my actual real numbers of my house,
Oh.
And they're not redundant around here. So if you were to Google it, you would know my, like, the numbers, they don't double. So I scared them because the next day, okay, so long story short, I would have not known that I was even viral, because it had been viral for a while. Okay. And in the YouTube world, a while is like, a month or two. And the sad thing is, with all that drama, my Karen moment is already forgotten. Besides the people who are doxing and sharing it,
Mm-hmm.
I was in a Karen video. They called me a Karen. And guess what? I don't care. I am a Karen. I need to speak to the flipping manager.
You own it. Yep.
So, and you know what? It doesn't hurt my feelings. Like, I have no shame. You can't hurt me. Like, and I think that was the one thing, like, okay, I'm in a viral video. Like, good. Godless sewing. Go subscribe to my channel. You'll see how I truly am. Like, you know.
Yep, you milk that clout for all it's worth.
And I like the fact that people think that I'm a Karen. It's laughable because I've learned online people live by stereotypes. They meet me all the time and they're like, "Oh, you're black? You don't talk or act or blah blah blah." Like I'm not fitting some rinky dink stereotype that they have in their head, you know, because they don't realize people have evolved. And
Right.
we are beyond, you know, what television tells people that certain
I'm not the character you see on your screen.
No, and I ride bikes, and it's a whole different world.
Actually,
Like
I take that back. I am the character you see on your screen.
if you ask anyone who rides motorcycles, like they filmed Sons of Anarchy down the street from my house, okay? And like if you ask any like real patched up biker, they're like, dude, that's like Phantom of the Opera. That's theater. Someone I really respect wrote something on Twitter, and they didn't even know that I had a Twitter. I didn't know they had a Twitter, and they were like, this is play acting, this is theater, you know, like so people get stereotyped because they say, oh man, like this invoked emotion out of me on television, so it has to be real. And let me tell you, it's not. Most of like just like the military, 90% of the military is preparation. Hurry up and wait is real, you know. So
Hey, Liz.
I was wondering where you were. My phone and my computer. For some reason, my computer's way slow. So, long story short, I was doxxed, okay? And out of those 500,000 something people, no one shared my address, okay? The second it came to a certain community, all of a sudden, I'm getting all these messages. And you know, frenemies are weird to me because I'm a love me or hate me kind of person. Like you cannot be my frenemy because I'm just gonna call you out and you already hate me, so I'm just gonna call you out on anyways, you know.
And then hit the block button.
Oh, I'm like a hockey goalie, which the Kings were sorry tonight. That's the sewing sports desk. We lost to the Devils. So and keep in mind, my life is drama free. I have a junior high schooler who I'm just making sure he passes the 8th grade. My biggest concern is he has a physical fitness test coming up. I just want to make sure he can run the mile and not embarrass himself.
So you've been practicing hard?
Oh yeah.
Good.
That gym where you guys see me in my rollerblades, because the weather's been terrible, so we go in there.
Good.
And I've had access to that since I was a child, so I mapped out what a mile is. Even if we walk it, a certain amount of laps is a mile. So, and that's what we're trying to work up towards.
Good.
Oh, 14. Liz is outside and it's 14 degrees. I think
smokes. I know, because you guys have got like 2.5 inches of snow plus more. They keep promising me a snowstorm and leaving me sorely disappointed, but
same here.
Standards.
It never snows here, so everyone's like, oh, is it raining? Is it raining? Like, because we know the second it rains, it's going to snow. Hey, Commander. Hey.
Hey.
Oh, excuse me. If you want to jump in, just let me know. So, my neighbor initially doxed me, okay? Which was on him. And I did not know in the state of California, it is actually illegal to dox people. So, don't ever take legal advice from the God with Sewing channel. But if you ever are in court, don't
no
dox
legal,
somebody.
medical, financial.
I was slowly writing down a list. There's all kinds of funny things that you should not take advice from me. I don't know if I can afford that shipping and handling to pay for all that snow. Sadly, I'm in Syracuse waiting for them to load my truck, and they haven't even touched it. Oh, I know how that is. In a weird way, I know how that is. Oh wow! See, everybody here, like from Alibaba, I can tell everyone's north of Liz. Commander, like everyone is north of where Liz lives.
Not me.
Yeah, exactly. Oh wow! So, okay, so all of a sudden, a couple of individuals started sharing my video in a certain community, okay? And this is where it gets hairy, and this is where it's not funny. I said this months ago, and no one paid attention to it because we all had our moment of, oh my gosh, that's bad. Somebody got arrested by my house with my address in their pocket, and they were like in front of my house. I have security cam footage of the sheriff's bagging and tagging them. They got arrested and it's in the modern era, so it was in the local, it was on Facebook, it was on, I say newspaper because I'm old. What do we, like, our newspaper is now online.
Oh, right. So, and you could probably see them on their booking photos if they got booked from the county or the whatever local lockup.
Well, they can't do that, but the cops came to my house because they had my address.
Right.
And I told them, and even the cops were like, seriously, this is because of YouTube? They were like, this guy has a record like a mile long. Like, this is seriously because of so and they wouldn't give me the details. They wouldn't like say if this person was armed. They wouldn't say anything because, like, in Oregon, if you get arrested, they show your mugshot. They should, there's no shame.
Nope, you can look it up.
In Cali, like, there's weird protection, so they'll show your name, but they won't show your picture. Or they won't say like, oh, this guy had like a bazooka. I don't know. There's a lot of cocaine on the ground here, so where it all comes from.
Montana, the magical white powder.
I'll say this. I always say this. Snow is beautiful for the first, when it's falling, you're like, oh, this is the most, when you wake up and everything's white and it dampens the sound, it's the most beautiful thing on earth. 2 weeks later, you're like, get me out of here. Not a snow fan. That's why I live in the desert. So this person, and it wasn't just one person, because you need someone to drive with you when you're going to dox somebody, apparently. And I will never know this person's intention. And, I always say, oh, F around and find out and blah, blah, blah. Well, I finally figured out that every single one of my neighbors have security cameras.
They found out multiple times.
No, the guy, like, he came in my neighborhood, and I would always woof and be like, oh, if you come in my neighborhood, my neighbors will call the cops on you so fast. No, that's real. The yuppie patrol is real. And everybody has those crappy Arlos nowadays. And I'm not dogging the Arlo camera, but I have CCTV. Step your game up. And I was taught by a very paranoid Vietnam veteran, but
only the best in surveillance in this house, kid.
So I've learned over the years, I have every inception of CCTV from the 80s up because my dad was paranoid. So I got doxxed. Someone got arrested coming by my house. Okay. So because I got in my neighbor's face, I stepped on my neighbor's lawn. I have an Arlo watching me right now. See? And you know why? You know that? Because the light's on. That's why Arlos are crappy. Like, if you have a security camera, you don't want people to know that you're watching them because they're not going to act natural. Like, sorry, go ahead, Peter.
I was going to say that seems antithetical. Like, the point is to be surreptitious, not be like, hey.
And it's so annoying to someone like me who knows the technology. So, like, when Isaiah and I take our night walks, like, the whole neighborhood lights up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys were all sold these crummy cameras, like all of you. Oh, it's the worst. It's the worst. Plus the multiple cameras all around the shack. And so I just like, look, we all have opinions. I sit here and I judge everything online, but I'm not going to act on it. There's not enough time in the world to, there's not enough time in the world to act on it like that. So it just tripped me out that after being on YouTube for almost 4 years, I thought it was just fairy tales that people tell. I actually got doxxed. Crazy Vietnam veterans are sometimes the best to learn from. Mr. Foley taught us a lot of stuff in high school chemistry. Well, let's just say he was teaching us how to fight. It's true. It's true though. I won't even lie. Like my dad taught me all kinds of survival stuff I thought was normal. Then I went out in the real world and realized no one has survival training. But so okay, so let's bring it back. I had a court date today, and first off, when I walked in, first thing the judge says was, "Man, they lied on your paperwork. They said that I was 220 pounds. I'm I'm lanky." And they were like, "Okay." First they're lying, and then I showed all my YouTube evidence. And you want to know why? Because I've been to divorce court. And I learned a long time ago in divorce court that your Facebook, your anything that you put online is admissible in court to a certain extent. Unless if it's not, because it's not hearsay, it's actually what the person is saying. It's not hearsay. So, because I'm glad they have them in line over people make all kinds of. I'm glad they have them in line of work. People, and that's the thing. And see, that's the thing. I always say, like, screw what I say. Let's go check the camera, because I could tell you a story from, I could spin a yarn. So, long story short, in court today, everything that people have been saying about me recently online, anything that I've seen, I've had fallings out with a bunch of people basically saying a bunch of politically correct things because this particular person is in a protected class that we have invented. And so that's as far as I'm going to go. But my whole point of saying this is that it led to actually putting my family at risk. And at the end of the day, regardless of who you are, what you think, what you call yourself, it's not okay to put people's family at risk because we're all just BSing on the internet. That's what we're doing here. We're just passing time. That's unless I'm not getting paid to do this. I love doing this. Sewing is like what I love to do. So don't dox people. And you will lose in court if you think you're so. I always use privilege in the other direction, where this person thought my neighbor thought they had privilege, and he lost badly. The judge even said, like, who do you think you are? So I don't know. I'm gonna get back to sewing because that's what the important thing.
That's what we're here for, darn it.
No, I thought I had to move. I thought, like, I've lost
Yeah.
friends online. There are people I will never talk to. Relationships I've had for 3 or 4 years. There's someone who proved they were too dumb to be my friend, and I'm okay with that. Like, it's dumb. And these are like, I feel like I don't know. It's just I'm not. If I hang out with you, it's not. You're. We're all worthy. I'm not saying people aren't worthy, but I'm not gonna waste my time with shrubs.
Yeah.
And you invest your time with people, and you do that in any interpersonal relationship, in any social situation. You should see how I talk to the people at my dispensary. We are friends. Yikes. Let's make a pork pie hat. So because I already have my koofy shapes cut out, I have, because I've made a million koofy hats, I know how to make the base of the pork pie hat, but I'm still kind of stumped about the brim. Should I just put the hat down and cut a complete circle around it and then cut the head hole out?
Oh. What are you going to use for interfacing to keep the brim firm?
Well, I have a bunch of cording here, but I was thinking I also have a really thick canvas material that I usually use under brims when I want them to be floppy.
Yeah, maybe do 2 layers of that if you don't have like buckram or horsehair.
I don't. All my cowhide and stuff I use for cowboy hats and failed projects. Like I tried to make my own
Yeah, no,
cowboy
I
hat,
don't
and
think you need something that fat. No, not, but the horsehair braiding that they, or like tarlatan that they use in old fashioned millinery or in the bottoms of Victorian skirts.
that's not a bad idea. I'm gonna take a look and see what I have because I had this crazy idea. Like I'm gonna make my own cowboy hat. Man, it is a lot more difficult than I thought it would
Do you have a
be.
mold?
No, that
Okay,
was
so you're behind the 8 ball from the
I did.
beginning.
I'm like, I am I'm one of those people sometimes, and you know it's so funny. I don't think I've said this in English lately. I'm all hat and no horse sometimes. Like in the cowboy world, you'll get made fun of if you don't have a horse. Like, why are you dressed
Yeah.
like that? You know? So like in Spanish,
Poser.
they'll always say that man is all hat and no horse. So I was like, I'm gonna make a hat, and I just came home and started forming my shapes, you know, like a
Well, that's half the battle is like the mock-up and just figuring out. That's my only thing that I'm foreseeing is how you're going to keep the brim nice and firm.
That is true. And that was like my biggest dilemma when I was sitting here. But like, excuse me, behind this computer is a world of fabric. And
Okay.
I went and bought more of a
Oh, right,
just
at the Poly
of
Lobby.
I went for a victory lap. And in like, let's have a talk, okay? As someone who's an atheist who walks around with a vest that says godless, like it doesn't dawn on me when I walk into a place like Hobby Lobby that it's really religious because I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't bother me. I'm not like I guess I exist in my own little world. It's literally Shaun of the Dead of me walking around minding my own business, whining about my problems, you know.
Yep,
I
as it
remember
should be.
I remember my grandfather's fedora whenever we got a hold of it. It was like Indiana Jones time. I always say I wear a cowboy hat because my head's too big for a fedora.
You just haven't met the right one.
Yeah. You know, my brother has a ginormous head and he wears a fedora. I it's one of those, I think because I wear a cowboy hat. I've been wearing one for over a decade. It's weird now if I wore anything else. Black at your soul, I'd rather die than lose control. Oh, everybody's singing, they're singing Nine Inch Nails in the now I have that song bow down before I love
When you serve your
that is
what you
I've actually seen Marilyn and Trent in concert, and those two put on a show.
Oh, and Marilyn also had a huge legal success today.
Oh, really?
Yes, Evan Rachel Woods dropped her claim against him and said that Ilma Gore and Evan Rachel Wood completely set her up. So that whole case is like falling apart in front of us.
Interesting. See?
Which is good because he looks mean and scary, but everybody who's I've listened talk who's like actually spent time with him said he's super intelligent and a giant Care Bear in the devil's clothes.
Most people are. I hate to say this, but I met Suge Knight. He was the nicest human being I've ever met in my entire life. Because he didn't have to be mean. He didn't have to. He had no natural predators. You know, he is a 6'9" giant gangster. He was wearing all red suit. I worked at a Togo's in Hollywood, California, in the Gower Gulch, in beautiful sunny Hollywood. He walked in. He gave everybody $100 tip. He was like signing stuff. Like he is LA famous. You know. And the funny thing is, my boss was Ethiopian, and and he was smiling. He took pictures with them, and after he left, he looked at me and he said, "William." No, he used to call me William with a V. He said, "William, who was that?"
It's okay.
Oh, and I also on the infamous train. Do you know who Chris Benoit is, the wrestler?
Probably, I might have seen them back in the day. I'm not good with names always.
He went crazy years ago and took out his entire family.
Okay.
It was a very famous case. I met him at WrestleMania 2000 and talked to him for 45 minutes. For a full, he's the only, matter of fact, he's the only person who signed my book because we were talking so long.
Aw.
And he was the nicest human being on earth. And I trip people out because I know about hockey and I
Yeah.
know about old school hockey and teams that are expansion teams now that used to be different teams. So it trips people out, especially old Canadians. They're like, people
Right, you don't look like us. What do you do? What are you doing talking about hockey like this? Like a Canucker.
Nicest guy. But again, he had no natural predators. The guy knows how to fight. Like when you're
Yeah.
a bodybuilder, who's really gonna run up on you, you know?
But most people, I hear most of the time those are show muscles. They're not real muscles.
We call that like it's the Hollywood muscles. Like when Ryan Reynolds shows up buff in a movie,
Yeah.
he worked out for 2 months to look like that, and then he's gonna be eating cheeseburgers and tacos, you know.
Right.
When
And
the movie
whoever was doing his juicy vitamin regime.
You know who's the most famous for that is Marky Mark.
Oh yeah, I don't believe his schedule is real.
Between him and The Rock, so I think that's physically impossible. If you really think about it, like
Yeah.
who I recently saw this thing, of course it was on Twitter. Somebody like tested positive for they thought they were doping, but they were eating an insane amount of eggs every day.
Oh, see, those are the eggs don't usually do it, but what is it? Is it Anavar that sometimes they used to juice cows up in Mexico? So there are certain places if you eat certain things that you could, but depending on what sport, like the Olympic athletes in particular, the ones who have to follow the USADA protocols, even though the USADA protocols are kind of a joke, their trainers know they're on such a tight leash that that's them lying to your face as a public who thinks that you're going to buy their horse shit.
I knew I was instantly gonna lose a few subscribers on talking about being doxxed. No, because I got pooped on by the atheist community. Like I really got let down. I really have.
Right.
I'm not scared. I'm not scared to talk about it. Like,
well, they weren't your real friends anyway. Thanks for having me.
No, because it's all based on like it's strange how people in different places, how politics is different, like how someone in Ohio will feel different than someone in California, and then we have to fight about it. Mm-hmm. It's like truly there is nothing to fight over. I just don't get it anymore. I don't get why we hate each other so much. Like, give me a real reason to not like somebody, you know?
Yeah.
I'm sending another. It just trips me out how much hatred there. And you know what? Honestly, hatred sells on the internet. Hatred sells.
Yeah.
Because the more angry you are, the more. And you know, I'm like in my head, I'm like, I make stuff. Like, what are we fighting about? You know, like. I make things, you know.
Yeah, I think people feel. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I had a mental health breakthrough while quitting smoking and had an intervention at work. Now people are acting all afraid to talk to me or something. Maybe I'm reading. Okay, so you know what, Chaos, like. This is me to a T right here. When I quit smoking, like, I feel sorry for everyone around me. I lost it when I quit smoking because it's a real chemical withdrawal. It's a chemical drop. You're coming down off of a real drug, you know? Have you ever smoked? Did you ever partake in nicotine? Phoenix?
Oh, can I plead the fifth on that? As
No, it's okay. You don't have to.
thing in my face. Actually, no, it is. I have tobacco. Well, now it seems like tobacco and nicotine are two different things.
Exactly.
But yes, and maybe yes. And I wish I'd never started, and it's the worst thing ever. And people like me better if I'm not trying to quit.
When I quit nicotine, I'm just glad that my dad was around because he was the only person who could look me in the eye and be like, "You're tripping, bro. Go sit down, have a seat."
Yeah, there's so many like time outside, being away from people. It's complicated.
So you're not like, honestly, and stick with it too. When I quit smoking, I still talk about this. It's been 4 years and I can smell.
Right.
It's the weirdest thing to me. My nose, like, I have sentinel sense of smell now because I didn't use my sense of smell since I was like 13, 14 years old. Quitting smoking is the worst. It is the worst. As someone who's lighting a J, like throwing it in the camera.
Right. I'm like, this is not a fancy flavored thing in my hands sometimes.
So Ollie, you answered my. Do you smoke cigars or do you smoke cigarettes? Because I smoked cigarettes and then I smoked pipe tobacco for the last like 3 or 4 years before I quit smoking. That's why I quit smoking too, though. I won't even like sit here in front. I would still be smoking if my lungs would allow it. But my body was like, nope, we can't do this anymore. We're done. And I watched a human being pass away from emphysema, and that was like scared straight.
Yeah.
And my pops was a tough guy, and watching him slowly wither because of emphysema, that only like, and he told me his father was a porter in Georgia, basically, on the railways. That was a good job back then for a person of color.
Right, but you got tips sometimes.
He died of lung cancer as well. He
smoked so the genetics run strong for that.
Exactly. And so my pops was like, bro, like let me tell you a story. And it's true. I was actually talking about this today with Isaiah. Like, we talk about genetics. Like, people deny their genetics, but you need to look back and see what some of your ancestors look like. If like lung cancer runs in both sides of my family. You need to know these things.
Mm-hmm. It's true. I've got the diabetes, the being fat, and the hypertension runs strong. Very strong.
I think like the only reason I don't have the diabetes is because of my lung issues. That, and I have to have a certain diet. I have to. I smoked pipe tobacco forever, Ollie Bob. Like, oh man, like honestly, I miss it sometimes. I really do. There will always be what I call good time people that leave you the minute you fall on hard times. Just put the input. See, Liz has been there since day one. When I was like, I think I'm gonna start an Instagram. I think I'm gonna start a YouTube channel. So Liz has been there through every wannabe and fair weather. So she's seen the ups and the downs. You know what it is too? I try not to be so idealistic that it blinds me from certain things. I'm in many communities, and I know that not every single person in my community is an innocent human being. And so I try to take life case by case. Does that make sense?
It completely, because weirdos come in all shapes and sizes, and it doesn't matter what your where you are going to identify as, or maybe you've been a klepto thief from the airport for at least 7 years, stealing some Tanzanian art fashion designer's bag and then wearing her garments out in public.
I love people like that. They're like, oh, they won't catch me.
I know. At least they're not the head of nuclear security anymore, because oh my god, that like oh my god, stop five fingering the discount at the airport.
Is that why hotels, like, I never understood when I first drove up to Oregon, every hotel I stopped in, and to me it had nothing to do with race, because it happened to a friend of mine. They would like count the towels and stuff before you left, because
They're just used to
pilfering.
people being thieves. But no, you know who I'm talking about though, right?
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Oh god. Yeah, I think people who big corporations who are used to being scammed have higher protocols, or like the little mom and pops who are like, I can't afford the shit of you stealing my stuff, so I need to know that you're not going to rip me off.
Very true. Very true. Like, okay, I have a question for you though. Like, if you were at the store and you saw someone stealing food, would you say something?
I think it depends on whether you're like taking an apple or whether you're like going for the lobster and the king crab.
I agree with you. I never thought about it like that. But like now I just have Jane's Addiction stuck in my head.
I got caught stealing twice when I was 5.
That video, I remember watching that video and being like, oh, that's why people don't wear long clothes. You're not supposed to wear long coats in the grocery store.
No, but I was thinking of cake earlier today. Oh.
Do you know who I really I don't admit this, because I was really into hard rock, and then the 90s happened and bands like Cake. Now I have this she's going the distance stuck in my head.
Yep, she's going full speed. All alone.
I fell in love with is it Everclear? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Dun, they're like, I haven't been depressed in a while. Like, I went through this hardcore Radiohead phase. I'm not sad anymore. Nor am I 17.
I know. But here, we should give a shout out to Mark and his hospital stays and horrible family history for
Oh, I didn't see that. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
My grandfather died of a massive heart attack at 40. My father had a heart attack in his late 30s, and I had a massive heart attack at 40. Luckily, oh, that's what I'm so scared of. Do you know, Mark, my job gives yearly CPR classes. I take my son with me because one day he might have to save my life. And I make him unafraid of having to administer CPR on another human. So he has his certs. Every year when I get my certs, he gets his too. Yeah, Mark, that's horrible. I say something to if they're stealing. You know what? I'm the kind of person where I would offer them money, like here, because I work in cash sometimes. And so I'm like, here, dude, here's a 20, man. Like, please, by all means, take it. It's different though. Like, I was a bit of a punk as a kid. And when I lived up north, I worked at a job that we would make the breadsticks for all the Olive Gardens in Northern California and Oregon. So like we would stand there for 11 hours at a time making breadsticks. I pulled up to a gas station on a break one time, and 10 kids were running out with the entire beer section.
Oh, yeah, that's no.
And in my head, I was like, well, in my day, like it was considered like, oh, kids being kids, but we'd run out with like a 12 pack. These kids had like 300 or 400 beers. I don't know. I don't even know anymore because things are so Everclear and yes. They're awesome. Everclear's awesome. And I appreciate anyone who actually can play instruments. I say this all the time. A long time ago, an ex-girlfriend of mine took me. We were gonna go see Weezer, and it was Jimmy Eat World, Tenacious D, and Weezer.
Oh my god!
So, for those who don't know, Jack Black is a ripper. Like Jack Black can play, and he put on a show. It was amazing. I thought Jimmy Eat World was just this punk poppy band. I was like, oh Lord, this is gonna be terrible. They came out, they played Morrissey for a half an hour. They were like, hey, we're from Phoenix. I saw Morrissey here in 1989. And like, they were awesome. And I bought a t-shirt. And I'm like Slayer. Like, I don't play around when it comes to metal. And I had the time of my life. I was shocked. It was such a good show. I was shocked.
Cause I'm just a teenage dirtbag baby.
I brewed beer. No one around me ever would think of stealing it. You know what's so funny? I know someone that brews their own beer, so I know what you're talking about.
Right, because they're afraid they might die.
Exactly.
This could be bathtub gin, and it could be filled with shit.
Oh, I know someone's like, oh, you want whiskey? I made this in my house. Like, I'm good. I want to see you tomorrow.
No, thanks.
I need sight in my life. It was actually an awesome show. I'm okay. At almost zero damage to my heart because of how fast I got medical treatment. I was still talking to the nurse on the front desk with two nurses running out working on me. See,
good.
That's awesome. I'm scared because my pops died of a heart attack. I'm scared of dying of one. But I don't drink a liter of vodka every night like he did. My beer was fresh.
Helpful.
Yeah, I don't know how honestly I don't know how my dad made it to the age he did. He would drink every night, and I'm talking about every night. There you are, Commander. I was wondering where Olive Garden, never-ending pasta bowl is false advertising. Takes some goddamn long time. It's true. That and the Sizzler too.
I can't talk about Olive Garden. I had a bad experience up in Bellingham, and I was never so sick for days.
It's funny you'd say that. There's this really fancy burger place by my house. Everybody swears by it. I got food poisoning almost 10 years ago, and I never went back. I refuse. No, you guys almost killed me. Working that job.
Liz.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, Liz, stay warm in that 14-degree weather. Did you pack little self-heating pads?
Oh my gosh. If you lived any closer, I have space, little space heaters that are portable that you could, they're just gas heaters. You can put them in any temperature.
Right. Don't electric's not better for everything. Sorry, folks.
I'm not a cold fan at all. I'm not a fan of the cold at all.
No.
Which is why I forgot I was gonna bust out my my big blanket with a head hole in it. I found this in a thrift store years ago, and I put a design on it, but it's literally just a giant blanket with a head hole.
All right, let's see what's going on here. Yep, gotta wear my hands. Commander says, didn't it get real cold in Los Angeles recently? Yeah, they've got a blizzard warning for tonight for Los Angeles and Mendocino counties, I saw.
I'm not used to... Oh, this is total Clint Eastwood. I love this thing. I absolutely love this thing. I wore this years ago in a live stream when this older man went hypoglycemic and yelled at everybody. It was so weird. And he yelled at me because I said I didn't get a COVID check because I didn't qualify. And he's like, wait a minute, you're claiming you have more money than everybody else. I was like, no, I have a job and I just haven't even looked to see if I qualify. I told him the truth.
Right.
And he lost it. It
Yeah.
triggered something.
Medical conditions are problematic, and in some places they counted it as taxable income, so you got a check from the government and then still had to pay tax on it. So it was better to just not to stay away from that shit.
See, I didn't know any of this because I didn't get the check.
You were better off. You did that. Be glad that you were well enough to not even need to think about it.
I don't I don't claim to be rich or anything, and I don't fault anyone for anything, but like I know everyone's situation is different socioeconomically speaking, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't realize it was that much of a point of contention. Ollie Baba, this thing is so warm. If I have this on, it's cold. This thing, it's literally just a giant blanket with a head hole, and I put this design on it years ago when I was obsessed in my upcycling phase. I love this thing. I used to wear it at the job, but it's not that cold anymore. Even at 4 o'clock in the morning, it's not that cold. Plus, over the years, I've collected a ton of fancy jackets and stuff.
That one made a few on top in addition.
What's that?
Oh, you collected and made.
Oh man, and I've donated a lot of stuff over the years. I have because, well, the Godless Sewing channel started because I worked with an organization that helped give clothes to homeless people, and it cut out the middleman. And basically, it was because I had the space to put it to hide it, you know.
You had the hoarding house,
and then I discovered the world of wholesale clothing. People pay lots of money for giant bales of denim. Actually, denim is actually cheap. It's weird. Like, I could sell a giant bale of clothes, and denim is more expensive to. Like, in my head, I want denim. If I could get like, I don't know, $100 a pound for non-denim, and denim it's like $4 or $5 a pound. There is a store in Hollywood where if you have the space, you can buy a giant bale of denim. And they sell it to you for like $0.25 a pound, but then you get it home and you're like, I have never seen this much denim in my life. I wish I had a blanket in this truck. I kept this in my old truck for the longest time for that very reason. Where I live, sometimes if you get caught, people get caught in the past, and Southern Californians are we're not outdoorsy people. We don't think like, hey, we should have food and supplies in our car. That's just not even on our radar, you know?
You don't think that's changing with the fires?
Yes,
or maybe in the summertime, but not in the wintertime.
We're more prepared for an earthquake, so if a disaster happens at home, everyone's ready.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're in their car, they're effed. Like, and that's another thing. Like, in my truck, I have disaster supplies. Does the average person have supplies? Like, I could tow someone else in my truck. I don't know if people even think along those lines, you know? And I've had to tow people because it stinks waiting for a tow truck sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Well, you need a gas-powered vehicle to be able to do that. You can't. What electric is going to make it, or not run out of juice?
There's an organization I'm in that recently they had a meltdown meeting about that. That's why I brought it up in my last live stream when they're like, "What are we gonna do?" And I basically gave them the they can't stop us all answer.
Right. And that's why I'm curious to see if it's the phasing out of new things versus you have to get rid of what you have, because those are two different. Those are not the same things.
Big time. And see that's the thing. Like, I don't know. I just it's so I'm gonna cut the length on my pork pie. You know, the temperature really has dropped in here. It's amazing how much the temperature has dropped. I hope it snows. It's trying to rain, so I hope it starts snowing. See, but that's like the Southern California, because I know if it snows tomorrow, it'll be gone by Saturday.
Yeah.
And I mean like like, did that happen? A penguin should need a blanket. Wait, that might be the comment of the evening. They have newer signs that when they go up in the with the Sierra and with warnings. God, I need my glasses.
When they go into the Sierra Nevada with warnings. Yeah, I think they do. There's all sorts of fancy new signage.
I live at like the foothill of one of the last mountains that bleeds into Los Angeles. So it's strange where during the summer it's like 110 and we constant like right now, if I went 45 minutes from my house, I would be in like 4 or 5 feet of snow right now.
Yeah,
But that's
yep.
oh, go ahead.
Same, like few miles, a few thousand, 100 feet. Yeah. Oh, my words are failing me today.
I have to take this off for a second because I need maneuverability
Mobility.
when I sew. I have giant head problems. That's why I make my own hats. Because even my cowboy hats, I have to special order them because triple XL cowboy hats cost more money. That's how, like, when I saw the felt material, I was like, well, my hat's made of that same material, but then I didn't realize like it's wrapped around cowhide.
Is it cowhide or is it like tarlatan or buckram?
Okay. So
Get the canvas.
this one is real, and I don't know
Okay.
if this is cowhide or not. This one is fake because you can see inside it's just wrapped in felt. But look at this hat is gosh, 4 years old, 5 years old, and it's held up. And I wear this every day. Like this is a piece of my skin. So I got felt thinking it would hold up, and I don't think it will.
Yeah,
But
you're going to have to line it with something to help it keep its shape.
I know. I'm really thinking about that. But I have a ton of material in this room. Like I have a ton of stuff. It's doable.
Right. So the first one is always like a practice one-off, and then you don't use your good stuff, and then you're like, all right, I learned a whole bunch of stuff. Now I can make the next one.
Exactly. And that's why I'm not going to even trip on the brim right now because I bought a ton of felt.
Right.
Because I didn't realize I didn't need that as much as I always over order. It's ridiculous. That's why I tell myself 4 yards. If anyone ever wonders where I get that from, because that's like one step above ridiculous. Because I used to get like 6 yards at a time. And I was like, what am I doing with my life? What are you doing?
Right, you're not making bustle gowns or like huge petticoats with a 6-foot train.
Exactly.
Like there are outfits where you need that plus more, but not what I've seen you make thus far. Though I would like to see a bustle gown with a lobster tail now, please.
And that's another thing. Like when I made my giant cloaks, I made that from an Alaskan king blanket. And for anyone who knows what an Alaskan king is, it's 2 queens put together or 2 kings or something crazy. It's my grandmother literally had 2 queen beds put together. her room was literally one giant bed.
That's a huge. I don't think I take that back. My room probably could do that, but that's still a huge room.
Oh yeah. And when I redid her house when she passed away, and I didn't realize how big the room was until I took the bed out.
Right, without all the furniture, they're like, "Oh, this is a cavern. We can go. Hello."
Because her house was huge, but because it was 1970s Brady Bunch, it didn't seem that big. And then when I took all the furniture, I was like, "Wow, this really is a 5-bedroom house. Like this really is." But because I grew up there, it just didn't seem as big to me, you know. I know, crazy. It's cold in California. We cannot hang.
Oh, I hear you, Liz. You've got more snow than I do right now, so I'm super jealous because they keep letting me down.
This morning when she told me what the temperature was, I said, I was like, all right, I won't complain. I literally was like, I will not bitch about the weather today.
And here you go.
Oh. See, and because I've made a million koofies, I know how to shape the top of the hat, but a kufi is different because it gives you space where you could morph the hat left or right. With a hat, you want it to be a little bit more tight, and I have this awful habit of giving myself too much space. I don't trust the measurements. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I'll always go an inch, a half inch over when I shouldn't.
Right. Leave yourself your half inch or whatever your preferred seam allowance is, and just trust the process.
Like when I made my chair cover was the first time I ever learned to trust the process because I did it all by measurements and it came out perfect.
The magic of that. Oh no, yeah, I measured stuff and it worked out.
That's why I call what I do. I call it pirate sewing sometimes. I'm just some overzealous guy guessing. Maybe you need to make a new snow. So I was thinking about this because I weirdly hoard snowboarding clothes because I'm a hoarder. And I live in one of the hottest places in America. And long story short, I can't wait for it to snow. I have a full denim snowboard suit that I've amassed over the years. It's Burton pants. No, they're special blend pants. And then a Field and Stream top. But I got both of them in places where it snows. It's gonna be crazy. It's all quiet now. It's trying to snow right now, but Alexa, what's the temperature right now?
Right now, it's 41 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, 41.
Temperature.
I know. Oh, this is the game we always play because it never snows. There's the song, It Never Rains in Southern California. It never snows in Southern California.
Oh, here's my snow prediction. Are you gonna fuck us? Oh, of course not. It's 50 to 90% overnight. We'll see. It's just been dusting and not really snowing. I mean, snow, but not what I consider snow.
And Liz is like, ha ha ha. And Alibaba's like, we'll send it to you.
Yes, please. We need the rain. The man-made reservoir that they call a lake is now a puddle, and since it has no natural water feeding it, I don't know if it's ever going to recover. And they used to take water from there to deal with fires. So, yeah.
Oh, wow. I'm getting on it.
Oh, the emojis are great. Liz, you're crushing it with the emoji game.
Do you know I consider that like a sign of age? When someone's with a bunch of emojis, I'm like, all right, you're in your 40s. I know how old you are. I know exactly how.
I've been resistant because I thought that was like a young kid thing. I don't know.
It's weird. It's a generational thing, I think. All right, let's see. What is that? 4? Should I go? No, I gotta go a little bit more. Because I have a giant crown of a head. No, I have ear issues. I do.
Oh, right. They're pinned funny from your bike helmets.
For years and years, but I had Spock ears.
You trained them.
I did. And that's real. Like, you can. Like, my ears are like this for a reason, and I won't even sit up here in front. I had Will Smith's ears.
Porcupines.
I looked like that fish. What movie is that where he plays a gangster fish with the sharks? Oh, there's a movie where, but it's Will Smith's face, and he's a fish, and the fish has giant ears. Oh, it was one of those terrible, like, wannabe Pixar. It wasn't even a Pixar movie. It was
It wasn't Aladdin when he was playing the genie.
I've never seen snow, even in winter when it gets below freezing here. It never snows. That's crazy to me, Mark. Mark, come to California. I'll take you straight up the mountain. That's crazy. That's why, like, it rarely snows here. That's why people are like waiting around like children. We're like children. We're like, oh, we wanted to snow so bad. Oh my gosh. It's so sad, but true.
It is. Now that I don't have to deal with it and I can like look at it but not have to drive in it and shovel out like feet of it. Like, yeah, no thanks.
Mark
Shark Tale says stupid monkey.
Thank you. Thank you, Chaos. Thank you. Yes, it is Shark Tale. Robert De Niro's in it, or like a wannabe Robert De Niro. There is the shark. But yeah, I had giant beacon ears. The elves in The Hobbit were jealous of my ears. And from years of wearing hats over my ears, I've pinned my ears back, and now it's a habit. Now, like, you see people with gauges, that's where I got the idea from. I was like, if they can shape their ear, I could smash my ear to my head, and it worked.
Yep. True, less costly than plastic surgery.
I'm not against plastic surgery, but I'm not gonna get it until I like really need it. Like, I know someone that got a nose job because they were in a car accident and they couldn't breathe through their nose anymore.
That's different than the Madonna, where sometimes we should just don't F with your face.
When I was looking for thumbnails today, I typed in Tupac in courthouse, and the picture, I forgot that Madonna and Tupac dated, and there was a picture of them together, and I forgot what she looked like.
I know, because her new picture's not the same. Oh my god.
In
Alibaba, the worst is slush,
please.
watery ice and snow. Yeah, that doesn't flow away, make driving and walking super sloppy. I concur. And I'm sorry. Liz says, I'm sorry. I have to admit, it was fun playing in the snow. I'm sure it was. I really want to. I kicked it around and slid on it. No injuries. Perfect. Yeah, because the worst is slipping on the ice and hitting your head and getting a concussion when you were 6 because you played in the snow.
Oh, God.
I know nothing about that experience.
Skateboarding and breaking a tailbone. When I was a kid, a friend broke a tailbone in front of me, and it I still hear the crunch to this very day.
Oh yeah, there's some sounds that never get out of your ears.
Ever. Like when my friend had all those rabbits and pythons. Do you know I'm a rabbit advocate? Yeah. Leave rabbits alone, people.
Right, stop. There's rats for that.
Yeah, find something else to feature illegal snakes.
Oh, God, that's just gonna make me think about that guy who poked the snakes and they fell out of the ceiling. Oh, I'm creeped out now.
Do you know what's really funny? Like when I see something like that, I'm like, oh, I need to go straight to the comments. Like people were like, what country is that? So I can never visit it. Right. Everybody was. Do you know what country that was? Because everyone was like, that has to be Australia.
I think it was Thailand, because I know like in India where they've got the king cobras, they're like sometimes slithering around and have to have the police come. I'm like, oh God, no. It's bad enough that I hear there's rattlesnakes like 3 miles away from me, but that's scary enough.
Rattlesnakes, they let you know if they're like, that's the thing. A rattlesnake will warn you. It's that's not just gonna bite you for no reason, you know?
Right. They are kind. My one encounter with them in Montana, they were cordial enough to let me know. I was like, oh fudge. I'm pretty sure that's a rattlesnake. I never saw it, but that sound is unmistakable.
Like at my job, we have tons of gopher snakes. There was one time I had a post hole digger and I'm literally digging a sign. I'm about to put the sign in. the whole time. I had my hand next to a snake. The gopher snake didn't even move because I wasn't disturbing it. I exposed its hole, but I really wasn't. It just sat there like, what is this dumb human doing?
Right, exactly. Yes, please, Liz. I will take some snow down here. Just send it south, please. Send it south.
Oh man, if that was real, if Frozen was real.
I've never seen that. I don't know. I think I'm jaded because I'm not one of those weird adult humans who's like a Disney stan, and I don't know.
So at the time when the movie came out, I was dating my ex-girlfriend who was from Norway. And if she's not hate watching right now, she is exactly 10 years older than I am. Exactly. Like our birthdays are like 20 something days apart, okay?
Okay.
This was back in the Red Box days.
Okay. Oh, yep.
Okay, so we went to this restaurant on her side of town, and we go to the Red Box, and I picked a movie, and I'll never forget. She looks at me, and I'm like, really? Because I saw it on the screen, and she's like, boop, she picked it, okay? So keep in mind, I'm a stoner. She fell asleep. And I sat there and watched it, and I'll never forget the first time I heard Let It Snow. And I was like, am I ripped, or is this invoking emotional? Is this invoking something out of me? Okay. That was the first time I heard Let It Snow. On the 700th time, I was like, I hate this effing song. And I used to tell her, I'm like, you are the most cynical human being I've ever met in my life. You are 10 years, like, we are not young. I watch anime, but like the stuff I watch is like old school Akira, Wicked City. Like there's crazy stuff going on, and I know I'm justifying it because other people will just be like, Will, that's a cartoon too.
Fair, but I don't know. I guess it's the same because people dress up as their anime characters. I just feel weird watching some of these costumers who like dress up, make outfits to match their American Girl dolls, and they're like our age. I'm like, I don't know, that just feels weird to me, but I just don't get it.
I didn't know it was real until I got on the internet, because I go to Star Trek conventions, but I don't wear a uniform. I have one, but as years have gone on, I'm not that skinny anymore or buff. There's those like I have
you can work on those things.
True. I have a Captain Kirk uniform, but like you can, like, it's tight, and I'm not talking about the style. It's
right.
And it's polyester.
No tacos tonight, kid. Hey, Kilroy.
Hey, I was wondering where you were.
No, it is not Monday. Actually, it is Monday. This is Groundhog's Day.
So I got sued and I won, and because someone doxed me on YouTube and shared it with a bunch of people, I used it in court and won. So this is just a victory lap. And eventually I will make a pork pie.
I'm like, I traced all these pattern pieces, but I'm like, I don't have the wherewithal to try to lay them out and pin them together to baste it.
That's my thing about sewing. Like, I get in the zone. I put my headphones on. It becomes 1991 on my headphones, and I go off. Like, I go off.
I can, but I've been gotten into these things. Like, corsets are so many steps because, like, I trace the pattern because I'm not even with my print and tape patterns, I'm a pattern tracer and not a pattern cutter because it just got into my head. So I trace the pattern, mark the seam allowance, cut the pieces face to face, mark the seam allowance on each piece, but then I have to like lay them out in the right order and then baste it. And I'm like, oh my God, this seems scary. A lot of work right now.
I saw a video a while ago when people were like, the things that people don't tell you about sewing, and all of it was about cutting shapes, making shapes, like, cording, all the things that no one tells you.
Exactly. That's why I love live streaming it, because I'm like, they're pretty like Rachel Maxey, everybody who's like has their beautifully curated videos. I'm like, there's a lot of stuff they don't tell you about how many steps that you should really be doing. And if they're not doing it, that's cool too. But certain things I'm like, I just don't know how to do it any other way.
I'm weirdly torn on that because I used to do tutorial videos and no one cared. And then when I started being like, hey, I made this, I started getting more views, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know if I should go back because nothing I do is a secret. Like if you asked my son, he would be like, oh, my dad does this and this because I showed him what I'm doing, you know? Like
I think there's a value for it in the long run, which is why, like, for Brunhilde, I should do a series of, like, how to just deal with her since I've never seen a machine like that. And I'm like, well, for posterity's sake, when I die, if this machine goes to my nephew or whoever human inherits it, I want them to know how to care for it and use it.
totally. And like, I was honestly thinking about instead of like when I get my because I like I said I have this giant sewing table and I'm not gonna let it go to waste. I'm thinking about putting one of my whites on it and not my singer
Yeah.
because the whites are workhorses.
Yes, I didn't hear about this machine. I never knew about this brand, and now I just like wish I knew the story of all the hands that sewed at this machine longer than my family's been in this country. Like it's so funny to think about. Like this machine's more American than I am.
I think about stuff like that all the time because like I'm obsessed with Star Trek, okay?
Right.
And like in some of the different spin-offs, like in Star Trek Enterprise, they'll be sitting in the ship and on their off time they'll watch movies. And they watch the old black and whites and they'll say, oh, this is from the ancient West, or this is from ancient Hollywood. Like when I look at my sewing machines that are like 150 years old, 120, I'm like, these have a story. I wonder, like, I want to know every single pair of hands that ever touched that machine, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I want to know how it came from, like, from the factory to my house.
I know. How did this machine come from Cleveland across the country to Podunk, Oregon?
I think about that all the time. Like, my standard, and that's in this table, like, Isaac Singer was like, you guys are ticking me off. I want to make my own company for a summer. Like, how did that 115-year-old sewing machine end up at Rooster's Relics to the point where I bought it? You know, like how did it end up there? I love crazy history like that.
Yeah.
Whites are workhorses, the rotary. Absolutely. I will say that I was expecting an important call today, but I found out that they expected me to call them. So I'll probably be playing answering machine tag tomorrow.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's so stressful when there's no clear lines of who's supposed to call who when.
That actually happened between me and my lawyer, and I stressed myself out for the exact same reason. And she was like, bro, I was waiting for your call. And I was like, I was waiting for yours.
Yeah. In my line of business, if we schedule a phone visit, the act of the picking up the phone is on your end, not mine. But that's me.
That sucks, Kilroy. That's why I'm having this stream right now, because I have had 3 months of me torturing myself for no reason over something dumb, over something so dumb. I'm going to get back to obsessing over sewing machines.
Right. Let's get to this hat.
And harassing my son about passing junior high.
Right. And his PE test and is making sure he's not nefarious with his girlfriend.
Well, because all the parents involved, like, I laugh because all of us, we're from a different generation. We were smoking and drinking when we were his age.
Yeah.
My wife and I, we're like, we talk about it all the time. We're like, we're so lucky because we were both awful teenagers. Like, we were like spraying cologne, brushing our teeth before we went home, you know.
Wearing Axe.
Oh gosh, dryer sheets smell like marijuana to me.
Oh God.
If I open up a dryer sheet, it smells like marijuana to me because I thought I was original.
On the toilet paper tube, you take one, you blow out through the other out the window.
And all of a sudden your room smells like a freaking dryer sheet. I miss those days, man. I thought my parents were so dumb. They just didn't feel like beating me up at the time. They were so nice.
They had better things to be beating you up for.
Nice. I was thinking about that too. Well, see, I was thinking about returning because I have several whites. I'm gonna use one of my older whites for an actual crank machine because that's what that's what it was originally made for. And I have the bobbin for one of the older ones.
Do it. I've got 3, or 4. So if you need another one, I might share one.
If I take a trip, I might give you this white rotary. I've been seriously
I seriously want that machine. Oh my
house
god!
I'm looking at it right now. It's like but when you do get it, it's gonna smell like marijuana. Just to warn you.
That's okay. It'll fit right in. It'll join the new fleet perfectly.
That was the only complaint I ever got on Etsy was like, oh, I loved this, but it smelled like marijuana. And I literally wrote like, hey, dude, sorry, I'm old. It's legal here. Sorry.
Yeah, there could be worse problems. It could be like bleeding yellow nicotine stains off of it. Like, come on.
True. Let this stupid kid do stupid stuff.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I'm just glad that I can get back to my I was, you know what it is too. I just I don't like interactions with courts. I don't like interactions with the police. I'm not I'm anti everything. Figure that out. So I want to be like a hermit who can see the city, who can drive to the store and then drive back to his hermit hole, my hermit
Your
cave.
hobbit hole. Yeah.
Damn right.
Well, just follow the words of the important lawyer Robert Barnes. Always in cash, never in writing.
Oh, I like that. Oh, right. You know, I have a sewing question. Am I pushing too hard with my cutter?
What cutter are you used? What do you use? Oh, a rotary? If you need to push too hard, when's the last time you changed the blade?
Okay, so I thought the blade was faulty, so I changed this within like a month or two.
Depending on how much you use it, it may need to be sharpened.
I'll take pot smell over the smell of somebody's vape. I didn't realize how heavy the pot smoke was until
somebody complained.
Somebody made a comment about how it's amazing my son's clothes don't reek, but mine do. And it's for a very good reason, because I obsess, I wear a lot of black. So everything gets hung dry. If I don't want it to smell like pot, I hang it in the house. If I'm wearing it, it gets hung out here with me. And we're smoking together.
You, me, and the clothes.
I know, Kilroy. Do you want to know why I've been so distracted? Well, first it's because I smoke my face off, but also it's usually because my makes are so complicated. I'm like, I don't want to sit here for 45 minutes and having to do all of this. But with a pork pie, I have a really good idea. See, this is what my cutter does. And I feel like I'm pushing too hard and it skips. But it's me because it happened on the other blade. So it's definitely a me problem. Like or maybe I'm doing it like I use these old plastic party tables, and because I own them, I don't care if I slice right into them. You know?
That could be because if they're the textured kind, it might be that. If I use my rotary cutter, it's always on one of the these like quilty self-heal mat things that's nice and smooth.
And then like one night when I was I love telling this story. Kids, do not order really baked on Amazon. I ordered a giant rotary mat. What I thought was, look how big.
Oh, it's so giant. I have one of those too. Oh my god.
I thought I got it in the mail.
Huge.
I was like, oh man, I really need to learn European sizes.
Right. You'd have to look. Oops. Is that inches or centimeters? Because they're not the same.
Oops. And even nowadays, I can ask the A word and she would tell me in 10 seconds, Right. So you don't even have to
sorry, don't get your hopes up. There's been no making yet, except for me cutting and marking stuff.
Is it dull? No, because I almost took my finger off the other day.
It's your table. If it's those textured kind, get a bigger mat. You were at Hobby Lobby today. I should have said not get zippers. Get a mat if I needed
I
one.
did get zippers too. I literally made Isaiah stand in line. I was like, oh shit, I forgot I need zippers. I bet it's the table. It might be too hard. You know, this one I don't cut into as much. The one I use in my videos, that table is like cut into. You can see that I have used that thing. Like, it is scarred.
If it looks like an unkempt hockey rink, it's not the right table.
Yeah, crud. Well, then it's not the right table. Maybe it is my table. Wow. I have to step my game up and get because these things are like deadly sharp. So there's no way that it's not that it's not the tool. It has to be the table.
No, you just need to get the appropriate mat to put. You don't need a new table. You just need a bigger mat. I would show you mine in front of me, but it's half covered in stuff, and I can't move the camera, or I could, but I'm lazy.
I don't know. Is my husky loud?
It's louder than my white rotary, but she's not electric.
This thing, seriously, this is my workhorse. I'm surprised it still works. Let's be real.
It's because you take care of her. You treat her with tender love.
I do. I take it apart, put it back together. I grease it up properly, like it says in the manual. I will tell you though, if it ever tells you like, oh, take it to be maintenance, really the only thing is taking off the hood and putting grease on the arm. That's it. That's all they do.
What I should need to probably do for my Kenmore. I need to like lift the top lid up and give that a little love, because how old is that machine? I think my Noni brought from 2003, 2002. My Kenmore is. She needs a little love like under the hood.
And I think it's important to get back to making stuff because and that's another thing that bothered me so much about YouTube drama. It made me feel like I was in high school. And let me tell you, I haven't been in high school
in a hot minute.
For a long time. I'm a live and let live kind of person. Like if I'm like, okay, like I'm not like Big Lebowski about it, but I'm like, whatever, you know, life goes on.
Obla-dee, obla-da. Oh, we're just singing all the old tunes.
We are now. I will have that stuck in my head all night. Both versions too.
Yes, Born Again.
You should frame that.
I have one of those too. Don't make fun of the little man. It's just because it's little doesn't mean it doesn't have a purpose.
I have it next to me to shame myself that I never make that mistake ever again. I look at it every day to be like, bad sewing, bad. Like, what were you? You know, and I'll tell you why. I have a compulsive Amazon habit. I do.
We talked about this. Yeah, you need to delete that app off your phone, so you have to be at a computer and not at 3:00 in the morning.
This is also why some people use tailor shears. I stopped myself from buying another pair today. At my local dollar store, they sell knockoffs of everything and they have a sewing section, but I've already purchased everything there. But their scissors, for some reason, are dangerously sharp when you first purchase them. So for $1, I buy these scissors because they've cut through leather, they've cut through like anything, and they just come from the 99-cent store. But I use my Cutcos. These are my old faithful, are my Cutcos.
But do you sharpen your own? Because I was listening to somebody who was saying like the modern shears, like the Fiskars, or even what are these ones? The Gingers, they won't bother sharpening, but these old, Oh, those are my pinking shears. Ancient black-handled ones, they'll actually take the time to sharpen and maintain versus being like, yeah, the metal's too crappy quality to deal with.
That's like my old whiz. I've taken these apart and putting them back together. And yes, Kilroy, I need a Amazon intervention, really. Really
Well,
is
just
what it
text
is.
me and we can stop this problem.
A good pair of tailor shoes. Oh, that's the thing. Like these old whiz, I can sharpen them and put them back together. That's how I know they're a good pair of scissors. Like my Cutco, same thing. Oh, whoops! I can take them apart and put them back together. The older steel is good. Yes, I use these for everything as well. I just don't always have them on stream because I lose them all the time.
They get lost in the Faberlianch.
Well, I have them in my toolbox, and so sometimes, like, I have a tool bag that I always carry in my car with me, depending on because no matter what or where I go, I'll probably need a tool.
It's just which one.
I'm addicted to Amazon as well. We need Benzos to visit your house, and you need to keep telling me that I'm making him rich. That'll stop my addiction real quick.
Oh, Bezos. I thought you said benzos, and I was like, what?
I did, but it's just my improper English. That's
fair. Just checking. I was
fair.
like, I don't think I need to be drugged up to hang out.
You know what? I inherited those whisks. I don't even at this point. I don't know if they're from my grandmother or if they're from my father, but they're older than I am. I know that for sure. I know there are, and I have a pair of Vic here too that I know. Oh my gosh! When they say "Made in America," I know they're older than I am.
Right? Because when these
these are old. They're Vic. I don't even know. Basically, if it doesn't say "Made" or Taiwan or Japan on it, it's. I need to look into that. Because I have quite a few whisk scissors. I have quite a few generations of whisk. But a lot of like the really old stuff that my grandmother had, I don't use it because I feel like it's like it needs to be preserved.
Well, sometimes if you maintain it, preserving it, or maintaining it and preserving it is using it. Like old motors, the gears, the moving parts, they need some love.
That is true. I do. I have an old Mustang motor. That's it's literally a wall hanger. Just because it says Ford on it.
That sounds very heavy. I hope you found the studs.
Well, it's the top of an old Ford hot rod.
Okay, I don't know what those words mean, but sure.
I have a weird altar where I keep like bits and bobs and tchotchkes of forgotten eras and like weird stuff to scare the neighbors because they think that I'm like doing voodoo in my house.
Well, you never know, you might be.
But really, I just come from a family of people that had a tchotchke edition,
right?
Like a heavy. Between my grandmother and my father, like they were addicted to like porcelain tchotchkes.
Oh, yep.
Weird. I grew up using whisk tin snips. Those suckers could go from cutting bolts to cutting tissue paper. I have whisk tin snips as well. I use my tin snips for everything, like even when they're not for things they're not supposed to be used for because they're so reinforced.
It is going pretty well, Liz. She asked how my sewing was going. I cut out a new corset, marked it. Don't have enough table space in the patience to lay it all out and do the basting. So I'm basting a purple sheer through brassiere top because, that's what I have the patience for right now. Found on road dead. What did you find on the road dead, Kilroy?
That's the acronym for Ford.
Oh, okay. I learned something new today.
So I grew up in a Ford family and I was considered a disgrace because first I bought a Chevy and then I was the first person in my family apparently to park a Japanese car in front of the house. I bought a Mitsubishi Montero. and I drove that thing till the wheels fell off.
Well, it's a good thing your grandfather wasn't still alive, because I heard that Ford used to put anti-Semitic material in their glove box.
That goes back to my like, I put my John Wayne shirt up because like John Wayne probably wouldn't have hung out with me, but I still loved all his movies, you know.
Right. Fair. Just like, even if Roald Dahl was anti-Semite, we shouldn't be rewriting his books to make people feel better today. That's just lame.
I want to know how you can prove that though, unless
There's
you have.
There's articles in Puffin hired like people to rewrite their stuff. I know. I want to look at a new version of the book and go back to what I don't have in my possession, my original copy of The Witches that I had when I was a much younger human, but we'll have to go back and look. But the rewriting and the things that they're saying is just, if it's true, that's disgusting.
It becomes the problem is, and you and I have discussed this, like at a certain point we have to stop digging up people to yell at them. Like the past was horrible. The past was horrible. We as people have the choice to not repeat it.
Right. Mother Teresa was not nice. Gandhi was not nice. Shoot, what's his face? From Fat Albert, was maybe not a nice person, but was super funny. Like, there's the artist and the artwork and J.K. Rowling and all that's like.
Oh, she's gone full Turk.
She's come back around again, and people now are like, "You're gonna dox me for playing Hogwarts Legacy? Come at me! You're the asshole, the a-holes now who are like, we're protected, but we're gonna dox people for playing this video game." Like, yeah, you don't get it both ways, kids.
That's what happened to me. I got. The problem is a perception of privilege. Like I said the other day, the only protected class you would have are people who actually can't defend themselves. Like, we call people special needs because we have to. There are things that we have to do in place to make sure they can maintain a life like we do,
right?
You know, and they need our help.
Yep.
You know, I don't know. Like I said though, sometimes I'm the wrong one to ask because I come from a get up. Like I'll never forget when I was 16. No, I was 15. I told my dad, I was like, I want a car. He said, really? I said, yeah. He said, okay, I'm gonna pick you up from school. I said, heck yeah. He picked me up from school and he took me to this place called Robinson's May, and I got a job. And for a year, I worked there for years, but I bought and you know what? I felt like a king of the hill when I bought my first truck.
Yep.
You know, I was like, you can't touch this car. It's my car. I can live in it. I could do whatever I want, you know.
Can't touch this, dude. I'm just getting all the old songs stuck in my head tonight.
My dad was always into GMC and Chevy pickups. He was also forcing me to fix random crap on them. So I'm not exactly impressed with either make. I agree. I am biased towards the big trucks because I do a lot of like womping and outdoor work, but that's I grew up like super American Homer. Like, I'm not kidding you. Like, my Boy Scout troop used to march with the Vietnam veterans. Like, so I have my American bias, and I didn't realize until I went around I went places that wasn't America, that no matter where you're from, you're going to have a bias. Especially like I know someone from Costa Rica that thinks Costa Rica is better than America. I know someone from Egypt that would be like, bro, like, we live in paradise compared to you. You know, it's all perspective. And where are my pens?
I don't know. Let's see here. Liz said, we have the choice to write our own history. Sometimes digging up skeletons isn't beneficial, and the past has to be the past, in my opinion. Fair. Yeah, it's good to know, but there's also, and separating the art from the artist, because we've got a long problem of problematic artists. And
big time. I think that's part of the problem too, is that we get, especially in today's world, like, we have such access to people.
Yeah.
And we get so emotionally involved in them, and they may not feel like we do.
Right, and they probably don't, because they're like, I'm just a human, leave me alone. I didn't sign up for this, or I did, but it's like the people who were calling for a wellness check on Britney Spears. Like, yes, she's emotionally stunted at like 22. Leave the human alone.
I've said this previously, like because she's a famous case, that actually happens all the time. People lose decades,
Yep.
all the time. People who get incarcerated, do you know it's a thing for someone to get out of jail and they still have the mentality of the year they got out,
Right. Or the year they got in.
Oh, sorry, the year they got in.
That's okay.
Very famous. There's a very famous movie about Frank Lucas, who was a real gangster, and Denzel Washington played the part. But at the end of the movie, like the whole movie is about the 1970s, and at the end of the movie, he steps out of prison in his 1970s clothes, and then a car drives by playing 1990s music. Because the world he lived in didn't exist anymore, you know. And that's real. Like, people lose decades all the time. You can learn from the past, but if you get so obsessed with the problem of it that it harms the building of a better future, then that's when it's over the line. I agree with you. Like, I rumble back and forth. Like, see, the problem with freedom of speech is people don't realize, like, freedom of speech protects you from the government, not the person sitting next to you. So the person sitting next to you has the right to not agree with you.
Right. It's the government, and it's to protect us against the people who are the biggest assholes that we don't like the most.
True. Because, like, there are some people where I'm like, why are we, like, I'm anti-canceling. I've been canceled for just not towing the company line, So where is that? I want to know, where is that fine line between, like, I don't agree with this person or we need to cancel this person?
Well, and it's gotten so much. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, because, like, what we consider freedom of speech is being redefined every day now.
It is. And it's getting worse when folks are getting debanked, like I'm going to forget his name, the chap up in Canada who lost his bank account and lost all access to all banks in Saskatchewan.
Is that real?
It is. Yes, the guy from Diagolon.
I saw that on Twitter.
It's so true. Like, when you lose access to your bank, what was it, that person whose parents lost access to their Airbnb or VRBO or whatever, when you're, like, canceled and being deplatformed and debanked, it's way worse than if Canada's trying it. Then they're like the American testing ground of, like, oh, they could do it up there, how can we swing it to make it work here?
Do you think in America we're more headstrong and we'll fight back? Or, because I know, like, it depends on where you live. And, like, I've been to Canada. I said this a million times. It is not the stereotype that you think it is.
I think it depends. It does depend on where you live, but I think a lot of people are sheeples, like how New York State and Kathy Hochul had that internet hate speech law that was blatantly against the First Amendment that got knocked down last week. But the legislation is trying to toe that line of, like, oh, you give up a little bit of freedom, we're here to protect you. But what you give up, we don't realize how far they're going to take it. You give up an inch, you give up a mile, and people just don't realize it.
I agree with you. I think that's part of the problem too. And I'm going to tell you, I didn't even know these problems existed until I got online and started interacting with people who were such the polar opposite than me, saying, no, the world's this way. And I'm like, no, it's not. But we can all coexist together and not have to hate each other for it,
Right, because there's too many common fights. I might not enjoy what you're saying, but I want to hear what you have to say, and you have the right to say it. Let's see here. What does Killer have to say? I used to treat the First Amendment like it was just there. Then I saw people in Britain getting arrested for protesting Queen Elizabeth's funeral, and I was like, I love the First Amendment now. Absolutely. And Alibaba said they can frame the concept of ideas and cancel culture that which doesn't go along with that frame. Yeah, they're trying to like take these little snippets and say like, you should just look down this. It's like the Clydesdale horses at the parades who have their blinders on so they can't see what's on either side and they can only look forward. And I think that's a huge, scary problem.
I actually use that analogy all the time. I think people are like Clydesdales sometimes. They'll get an ideal and then they live the rest of their life like this, not looking to the left or the right, you know?
Yep.
It's so true. And you know, like I say this all the time, if I have a pig-headed view on something, please prove me wrong, you know?
Right.
But within, like, I don't know.
Do it nicely. Like, I've been a performer. I've learned how to deal with there's constructive criticism and there's being an a-hole.
Very true. Very true.
Yes, using private platforms is how they cancel culture. Yup, Mastodon. What is it? Christopher Boozy, Spoutable. That's super weird. Or even Trump's, like, I don't even know what his other platform is. Like,
Truth Social.
That's the one. I like Locals and Rumble because people are have been getting canceled off of their Patreons for not towing whatever party line Patreon has to do. Or I've seen, it was Sydney Watson, yeah, who had shared some weird things about Etsy. Like, go to a place where Locals or Rumble where it's clear there's no moving lines. There's even no moving lines for monetization. Like, you can just sign up for your Locals or Rumble. Sorry, I'm promoting other alternative platforms, but
no. In the past 2 weeks, YouTube has taken almost 600 views from me. They've I think someone's mass reporting my channel, but on my YouTube studio right now, one of my videos has almost 700 views, and if you look at the thing, it says it has 200 something. Like, YouTube has really been cracking down on my channel lately. I have no idea why. I'd rather not hand the government that kind of power. More often than not, most well-intended laws like that eventually get used for the total opposite of their original intention. And I agree. People abuse that. And that's the problem too. We've ran into the, I call it the death of language, where we are constantly arguing terms. Constantly. Like the person who recently doxed me is a scumbag. It doesn't matter where they're from, who they are, what they represent. They're a scumbag. We've gotten too caught up in labels where it allows people to exonerate themselves.
It doesn't. Groups and people are using protected classes to say, "Oh, we are more." It's more important to protect these people than to realize that they're doing illegal activity.
And I found out today, if you live in the state of California or interact with anyone who lives in the state of California, it is illegal to dox someone on the internet. I did not know that. They are glitching the last 15 days. One girl didn't get her comment section for 10 days. I'm hoping, you know what, Alibaba, you're right, because sometimes I'll go on Twitter and I look at the complaints and I'm like, okay, everybody else, last week my video would not upload, and I was like, I'm quitting YouTube, I'm going somewhere else. And it was like, in my area, no one can upload.
Oh, but also Susan left, and we've got the new the former head of We Don't Trust You and We Don't Keep You Safe, now the head of YouTube's.
I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist, but everything started. All that drama started when he took over.
Oh, Elon for Twitter. Or
No.
no, the new guy at YouTube.
Yeah. I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist, but
No, but unfortunately, all of my conspiracy theories have come true, and I need new ones. So I'm open for suggestions.
I do need another platform to stream on. Maybe I'll start streaming me playing Heroes of the Empire or all my old Star Wars games on Nintendo 64.
You can do that on Rumble. The DMCA is way less stressful. I'll let hook. I was gonna say hook me up later. Hit me up later, and we can talk about Rumble and my other platforms.
I will, because like I was gonna do that because I use like Mario and my my Nintendo 64 and my Sega as like therapy. So
Yeah.
it'd just be me geeking out and gaming, you know.
Yeah, no, you can do that over there. Let's see, are we behind in the chats? Let's see here. Alibaba said that live gaming one was today. I didn't see that. Liz said, I always judge people on what they do and not on the labels they use. Absolutely, because yeah. And let's see, Kilroy said, YouTube's built on a squirrel running around a rickety house of cards anyway. It's probably glitching to hell and back. Probably. Let's see here. Next, Kilroy says, you could always get into one of the classics like Bigfoot or JFK. For all of your JFK needs, I'm going to shield the station America's Untold Stories. Mark Grobert and Eric Hunley are... Mark Grobert knows everybody. When he casually refers to his friend Oliver, he means Oliver Stone. And he met Belchek, who just died, was friend. He has stories about everybody and has had the most amazing life. And their, 500 episode series on the debunking of the JFK stuff is absolutely phenomenal. So if you want something fun to listen to, America's Untold Stories is a great way to spend your sewing time when you're not live streaming with us. And I guess I'm okay. Let's see. I have no more comments, and I basted some stuff, and I think I'm going to do like a flat felled stitch on these cups and then stitch it in. And I've cut all these pieces, but I'm missing some right now, but I know I've cut them out, so I'll have to find them. We do have pink sparkly bikini bottoms somewhere that I could show off, but I don't know where I put them because I clean my sewing table and then it becomes a giant mess. Liz, you should. Those chaps are the best way that makes a random Tuesday, and their Tuesdays are the more structured shows as of late, and their free form Fridays are also good. Let's see here. They're both such Haywards. Talk to me easy. They are Tuesdays at 2:30 Pacific Standard Time. Tuesdays and Fridays. You won't be disappointed. And their old catalog, you can just put it on while you're working or hanging out, and it's just amazing. There is, let's see here, what are some of the shows that they've done that are, who's the guy with the hair that looks like Viva? My human's not paying attention to me. But, yeah. It's great. Grobert knows everybody and has stories about everything.
Oh, whoops.
Yeah, right.
Whoops. Sorry. No, I'm doing some hater stuff. I totally got caught because I'm checking on somebody and I'm killing that person's views of the show I used to be on. I kind of did this on purpose just to see what would happen.
You're hate stalking another channel while you're live streaming.
No, I'm all about numbers. Like, you can say anything. Anybody can say anything at any time. But the truth is, like, I could.
The proof is in the analytics. Like, what does the data show?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, ha 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 ha. You know, it just makes me laugh. Like there is no point in hatred, and I think that's why people end up hating me because um I'm such a live and let live kind of person that I'm like, oh, whatever. Like, but people, if you have like a fervent nature, if you're like a zealot about something, you're gonna end up hating me. You probably will. Or if you join it, like I'm really bad at cults because I ask a lot of questions. I'm really bad. Like I've recently been watching a lot of Jonestown stuff. Like you couldn't get me to. I'll go to Guyana, like to sit on the beach and listen to soca, but you could never get me to go to Guyana and freaking go plow in the heat.
I work, but not that kind of work.
Yeah. Can I bring my tractor?
Right.
Personally,
Don't you have a rent-on John Deere that I can just fix the motor and make run again?
Especially now between Japan and China, everything's universal. Like if you drive one tractor, you know how to drive them all, you know.
Right.
Labels, I've personally seen it countless times where communities that cared more about labels than actions harbored some very judgmental, angry, and vicious people because of their labels. Thank you. And also I hate to say it, but wannabes get mad when they meet the real deal. Like someone will say, I'm standing for this person. I stand for these people. Then you're in the room with them and they're like, oh, that person's the most obnoxious person ever because you don't like what you're claiming to love, you know? Especially when people get around like that's why when people stand too hard for the LGBTQIA plus, it scares me because like, nah, people just live their lives. Like when someone gets a little too hardcore, I'm like, you're scaring me. That's why I don't even know how to say it nicely. Like this will could never have a grace. I could never have a grace. I love
it's
that
like
show,
people
though.
who are confident and know who they are and just want to live, like they don't feel the need to make a big deal about it. It's just like, yep, this is who I am. Love it or leave it and leave me alone. Versus these newfangled like, but I'm special. You should protect me. And it's like, no, what did you do to? Are you a good human? Yes or no? Okay, if not, F off.
I always say, like I go by the Slayer's side of like we are all equal. Whether that's a positive or negative thing, that's for you to decide.
Right.
We are all equal in the same direction. The folks who stand too hard for us LGBTQ folks will toss us under the bus quicker than. That's what happened to me in this crowd. And I'm like, that's what literally happened to me in this crowd. And I'm like, dude, you guys aren't. Or 2 years ago, I had a stream about Pride with two people who didn't tell me they had never been to one. And I'm like, what are you in the stream for, bro? Like, we're here to talk about our experiences of going, like, in LA, the Santa Monica one is a concert. I don't care if you're straight, left, up, or down. It's a great place to go because they have. I saw Fergie there.
But what was it this year that last year? Who was it? Shakira? No, I'm gonna forget who it was. Who their act was in the daytime and billed as kid friendly, but certain adult apparatus toys are not really like. If you're gonna build something kid friendly, like actually be kid friendly and not like.
And that's another
uncomfortable
thing. Like, don't bring your kid to the Santa Monica Pride. You're gonna see my ass. I don't know who needs to hear this disclaimer. I don't know who needs to hear this disclaimer, but like if you're not into that kind of thing, then you need to be careful. No, because people will say, "Oh, it's indecent, man." It was when in the 90s, it was even worse than it is now. I've never been to one, but that's because I hate the fuck out of huge crowds. Well, where I live, it's different. Like LGBTQIA plus people have say here, so it's way different. Like there's always power in numbers, and I've said this since the day that I've gone online. Like it's different in LA, San Francisco, even when I lived in Portland than it is in Texas or like New York's its own planet. New York is
yeah.
New York is different, but go to New Jersey. and try to, and try to, yeah, so it all depends on where you live. And I'm not faulting them for not going to a pride, but like, I would never get in a stream about hot rods if I had never been in one, rode in one, or didn't know how to fix a motor. I'll watch it, but like I'm really into motocross, but like I don't go live streaming about it all the time because I didn't, I'd rather ride a street bike. That lately my whole thing has been crowds, but that's more because I have a low immune system.
I just don't like people.
People don't wash their hands. People don't take care of themselves. People and I am like weirdly Howie Mandel about that.
There's nothing wrong with that. Well, like we joked about the other day, when I used to work in the chemistry lab, you washed your hands before you went to the toilet and not necessarily afterwards, but there was mercury and dioxins and all sorts of weird shit. Oh, Killery says, if you tried that in Jersey, you'd probably be wearing concrete shoes in 72 hours or less.
It's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, I live in some of the gayest places on earth. So it's a little bit, and I know that because I've traveled around and I'm like, oh, okay. But it's like that, dude, like, how you can't say someone from Louisiana is the same as someone from Los Angeles, is the same as someone from Pennsylvania, as New York. Like, America is humongous.
Yep.
And we have our population. Like, I always try to tell people this, like, just on the West Coast, we outnumber other countries. If you took Washington, Oregon, and California alone has more people than all of Canada and has the same amount of people as in Australia. Our population, as far as the West, is unreal.
Yeah.
It's different if you go to a place like Japan or like India. Like, they have a whole different set of issues.
Yes, Kilroy, you do find all kinds of people almost everywhere, too. That is true. And Liz, I'm also a closet introvert, even though I am like talking to a camera in front of random people. This I can do. Interacting in real life, yeah, not so much.
It took me a while, honestly, to not be nervous on stream. It took me a while because I'd overthink it. Like, I would way overthink it.
I never did, but I grew up, well, besides when it used to make me so anxious, I'd get like stomach aches, but I played in orchestra. I performed in front of juried judges. So being live and having one shot at something doesn't scare me that much anymore. You just do it. And no, if you don't make a big deal of your mistakes, nobody notices them. So it's a practiced skill. Let's see here. Killer Eye says, I read this story of a guy who went to Russia on vacation and made a Russian dating profile as an experiment. He was getting dozens of messages from gay dudes over there in Russia. Oh, God. Camera, frozen hands. I don't know whose hands are frozen. Hopefully they're not mine. And hopefully I made a pretty face and not one of those weird, like, mouth open, glitchy things. That is super funny, Kilroy.
She might be talking about her own hands.
No, who knows? I don't know. Oh, maybe. Yes. But it said camera, so I'm not sure. It could mine. Okay, she clarified. Thank you, because I can't hardwire my laptop because it doesn't have that outlet. So I might need to upgrade my tech, but that's a me issue.
I have I should open up the museum of all the tech that I've purchased in the 3 years, all the weird microphones. Like,
you should just put. Actually, I always love, and which is why I put it in my descriptions, what I use, because I'm always curious of what tech people use.
My camera,
like a nobody.
My camera, like, I had a Sony 4K camera and I was like, wow, this is amazing. Oh, that's perfect. Measuring works. See,
it does. I told you. Oh my God. Actual measurements make a difference.
Because I usually make it like way below the bottom of my lobes, and that's like it'll literally hang past my eyes, you know.
Well,
that's
that's a style too.
Well, I like wearing a big floppy hat over my entire face, but that's just my style. Like,
right, but that's not this hat.
no, a pork pie is like it's like a working man's hat. It's like a pork pie is like anywhere from a beat cop to like the person I got it from was a bohemian man who just wore a pork pie all the time. And that was his nickname, you know?
I had to look it up because I'd never heard of this hat before, but it's cute.
You know what? It just takes time. Like, you know, it's so funny. I still make editing mistakes. I can barely speak English sometimes. I always tell myself, don't smoke a J before you do a certain thing, and I do. I bought a mega lot of like 20 old Pentium computers from the early 2000s. I use them when I need random scrap and sheet metal for something as gun targets. You know, it's really funny. We use like at the ranch, we changed all the tech, but I still have those old stand-up big screen TVs. We hollowed it out and I put a target in it and we use it for bows and arrows for my compound bow. So those old TVs do get used. They're fun to
want to shoot shit.
Oh, totally. My all the time Isaiah will come to me and be like, "Oh, they changed the law in California. We can do this and this." And I'm like, "Look, bro. If I let off a shot, the fire department's going to show up first. Then they're going to send the helicopter.
And then the neighbors with their allo cameras are going to be like, "Who shot something?"
Oh my gosh! In my neighborhood, they're so bad with their stupid Arlos.
All right. Oh, you're right. We're caught up with Killer Race chat. Sorry, I'm hand basting, so I'm not that noisy and not that exciting.
I keep on forgetting how this thing's a workhorse. Like I would totally do a Singer commercial, but like my Husqvarna Viking, man, this thing has like dropped on the ground twice. Like this thing is a workhorse.
They have good motors because Husqvarna, what doesn't that company make as far as engines and motors is concerned? They do washing machines, powered small landscaping tools, small machinery. Like German engineering has got something going, even though they're weird sometimes.
I have a friend who lives in Hamburg, and their entertainment is something that would make your eyebrows like, huh?
Fair. I know. My secret love is like dark German industrial music, like Rammstein and like the dark, weird costume stuff. So I'm like, you scare me, but I'm here for you all at the same time.
I know what you're saying. Like I told you, like I love Norwegian death metal. I love like I really got it was it 1349? There I just randomly found this weird patch and I was like, oh, let me type it in. And it was some weird Norwegian band popped up, and I have been listening to them for 4 years because of YouTube. And I don't even know what they're saying. They probably don't even like me.
There's a translate tool where you can get the translations of the music to at least have a sense, because it is good to vet some of the music, because sometimes there are things like it sounds good but you're like, I really shouldn't admit to liking this because it's really not nice.
There were one band I was into that like it took me 6 months to figure out they were neo-Nazis, and I was like, oh crap.
That's what I'm saying, which is probably what Killer Ray has to say. I used to be a huge metalhead, then I became a huge Deadhead. I have experiences at Dead shows, but not until after Jerry died. So I saw parts of the Dead, but not all of the Dead. And
Same. I remember
Yeah,
the video.
I had some experiences.
That's like me and Fish. I just don't remember a lot of the time when I toured around with them because they were handing out lots of free stuff. Here,
Fair,
take
right,
it.
right. I know. I never got into that. I don't know. I was such a do-gooder kid back then, but I didn't. I can't hate to say it. I don't love jam band music. Give me dance house.
I did it for a woman. I was completely fronting. I was completely pretending, and I didn't even like half the people around. I did it for a woman.
All right, well then that's on you.
I love the music and the travel. Like I'm a traveler, so I liked the experience was fun.
Right. Fair. And there's nothing wrong with that because those are two separate things to enjoy. I'm just a rave candy raver dark goth dance witch house kid.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Oh, Killer Ray said they don't like jam bands either, but I do like the Dead. I've warmed up to them, and I have some very fond memories of like Sugar Magnolia and Fire on the Mountain. But now that I live where fire's the season, Fire on the Mountain I love, and it terrifies me all at the same time.
I have a really random Grateful Dead tape that I listen to at my work because one of the old trucks is the only like thing in my life that still has a tape deck.
Yeah, I got rid of all my tapes because I don't have a cassette tape player anymore.
Hey, Skids, how's it going? How's it going?
Hey,
You can hop in. I sent
okay, while you do that, I'm gonna just catch up with the chat here because I saw some new things coming in, and I'm lost. Killary said it is semi-common. Yup. Liz, I'm a dark music kind of gal usually. I know there's something about it that just the drum and the bass just speaks to you. Skits is here. Let's see here. Kilroy, I love a good China cat over fire. Oh, I'm going to have to go back to listen to that one to see. And Liz says, hey, Skits is here. Are we caught up? Nope. Kilroy said, yo, Skits. Skit says, everything's okay. Working on some internet issues. It's fair. It happens. Well, hopefully those get situated and you can join the degenerates. Wow, words are hard.
Okay, so let's see. I pulled out a bunch of like that weird. It's like a step above upholstery fabric. Let me grab it.
I think that's what you need for this, though, for the interlining stiffener fabric. Like
because this stuff binds. This stuff is thick, and it's like,
with 3 C's thick or just 2 C. two.
I was thinking about going just 2 because I will see because I don't know if I'm going to put 2 layers of. Yeah, we'll see. This is the part of sewing I love. It's the engineering part where you have to sit down and think about what you're gonna do.
You want it to be how stiff or floppy do you want your brim to be?
Well, I have to also contain myself because I always make these gigantic brims like a sombrero, and a pork pie is a small
little
brim.
Right. So I would do 3 layers because you want it to be little and sharp at the ends, I think.
You're right.
So you want it to be stiff. You want it to be stiffer than last time, I said.
Yeah, because I have a bunch of bad examples of floppy hats.
Fair.
So keep in mind, my ambition was in the right place when I made this. But it's just a little too floppy.
Right. That's for summertime at the beach when you really don't want the sun and it's hot out. But I think, at least the pictures I saw, it's like a stiff contained brim.
Yeah.
Which they also sometimes use like 18 gauge wire to help keep the shape in places. which you probably have laying around randomly, or 16 gauge, something to like
I probably do.
something malleable but rigid.
Because I used to think that denim was, but denim is just as floppy when you get it by itself.
It does. That's why the buckram or the all the words that I forgot now. There's all sorts of fancy stiffening fabrics they used to use in millinery. Let's see here. Let me catch up with the chat for us. Where are we? Hey Loki, I hear you. I'm talking to the chat. Where am I?
I'm making a boonie hat one of these days for shits and giggles.
Go for it.
I make all kinds of shit, just like all kinds of funny stuff.
Oh, at the sewing advice. I try not to be educational, but sometimes I know a few things about a few things, or know enough to be dangerous is usually how I describe myself. Because
damn right.
I've never owned tarlatan or buckram or any of these fancy words. I've just seen people speak of them and do things with them that I'm like, oh, that's where if I had these things, I might use them.
Yeah, I've been really cleaning out lately, and I randomly found this cording, and I still do not know what project I was going to use this for, and it's a ton of cording.
You should make yourself a corset. The easiest, most complicated project you'll ever make, but the most comfortable. Which is why is Netflix wanting to cancel corsets?
We are becoming in a world where everything is being policed, and
Hans is feeling like they're ignored. Hey, Hans,
Hans is about to get a speech right now because I didn't hear the pipes, so I know Hans has not gone in the tub.
Oh, hey, don't miss bath time. If you got water, always enjoy your bath. Oh, I don't know what I went off on, Liz. Oh, hand puppet. Kilroy, I'm not uppity enough for fancy fabric. I didn't think so either, but I inherited more silk than I know what to do with, so I think I'm going to make 4 coordinating sets of pillows and nighties and house coat things just because I can and not feel guilty about it because it's not living its best life on the roll.
You know what, Gilroy, I kind of agree with you in a certain way because there are certain fabrics where I'm like silk, I'm like, nope, I smoke. Like I can't wear a silk shirt. I smoke J's. Even recently when I lined the poncho with the 1970s blanket, I'm like, if a flame comes near this thing, this entire jacket will go up like a Christmas tree.
That's what fired smoke. What's the word? Fire extinguishers are for.
True. Do you know what's so funny? I am so accident prone. This room is filled with fire extinguishers.
Good.
Rule number 1 is know thyself.
Yes. 100% always and forevermore.
And I know thyself is accident prone.
And you live in a place where fire's a season and scary, so it's just good to know your environment as well as thine self. Yup. Oh, Skits Crasher, Finger Waves, Kilroy, same. LOL. Yup. Hand puppet, says Liz. Yes, we had a sighting of the hands. Second one of the night. Oh my god. Not been doing what they should be doing, it sounds like. So
no,
let's see here.
Do you know, as a hover parent, I try to give my son some semblance of independence because one of the biggest detriments people do to children with special needs is they constantly hover over them. So then when they go out in the real world, they don't know what any kind of, they don't know what.
Right. It is. Yep. I think that's a problem with all parenting and exceptionally with those with different needs and abilities. But you don't learn that the stove's hot unless you touch it.
Yeah. And which
is hard, but it's true.
Recently, my my ex-wife was like, you let him cook? I was like, bro, he cooks every night and he's a better cook than I am. Like, but we would have never known if I treated him with kid gloves and I'm like, no, you can't turn on the stove. No, bro, let's find out if you can cook or not. Like, let's
Well, 100 years ago, kids were peeling potatoes at 3 years old with a real knife and not this like safety cutter. You learn skills, you learn what you're good at, you learn what you enjoy doing. It's not menial. Those are important life skills, and you don't know what you enjoy until you've experienced a breadth and depth of opportunities. Oh, let's see here. Kilroy, I mess with fire so much that I have a special baking pan just for the indoor fire things. Oh no! And there's no such thing as perfect parents. Those are both true. And I have toys that I love to perform with fire that I don't have a safety, and it's not always safe here. And it's true. You just do the best you can if you're a parent, and those who support parents, we all have our shit, and you just do what you can with what you get, and you learn how to do better next time, because that's all we can do on this journey, and we don't know what our lessons are supposed to be. So
I have a philosophy that you like, because I know a lot of people that blame their parents, and I always tell them you're responsible for yourself after a certain age. So you can sit around and point the blame all you want, but you're responsible for that emotion you're feeling. You're responsible for how you react to it, how you choose to live your life because of it. You know, the choices. We have trauma, but the choice is how you choose to live after said trauma. You know,
exactly. And you can either let your traumas forever scar you and make you fearful of the world, or you'll be like, yep, these are my war wounds and I move forward. What do you got next? I already experienced all this stuff and I survived.
exactly. You know, I have a really good friend, and she has been through something that I feel that would crush me, and I kind of use her as a gauge because she put herself through cooking school and through UCLA, and she still to this day has a thriving career, and she made herself literally from nothing because she came from an abusive situation, you know. And she used to always tell me, like, you either let it define you or you move on, you know. I was an awful cook. I cooked because I had to, and my son one day was like, I'm better than you, and I was prove it, and he did. So now he's a resident cook.
And that's why Kilroy said I was playing with knives and matches by the time I was 7 and power tools by the time they were 12. Good work. And eventually you get over your shit and play the hand you got rather than give yourself an ulcer wishing for the hand you don't. 100%.
Absolutely. But I feel like that's why I keep my mouth shut a lot of the time, because I have that old school like sense of like, oh, I'll tell a really quick story. When I was a kid, my parents were at a party or something, and I'll never forget, I kicked off my toenail on a fence, and I called my dad, and he was like, "Are you dead?" And I said, "What?" He's like, "Did you die?" I said, "No." He's like, "You'll be okay." It was just a different era. I grew up Gen X when parenting was throwing your kid in the deep end and walking away. Do you know, on Twitter recently I saw a video of a woman throwing a child into a pool. And what a lot of people don't know is that's literally how they teach toddlers to not go near pools, to not reach for anything inside of a pool. And when I started reading the comments, something told me, like, do not read the comments, because people are not going to understand what's happening, especially when there's someone supervising what's going on, you know. But I think we've put kid gloves on everything, and we treat everybody like they're in a bubble, and that creates problems, because when everyone's a protected class, no one is. I say that all the time. When every single person is better than everybody else, we are at an official stalemate. And I try to explain that to people, like, One of my favorite rap lines is "I'm not S, but at least I know it." Because I can cook like a mofo, mainly because I can actually follow directions. See, I'm good at that. I'm really good at that. I'm really good at form cooking. Calm seas don't make good sailors. I like that. I like that. I also live by the fact that I've said this 100 times. If you have a job and everyone likes you, you're doing something wrong. So whenever I get haters, I'm like, ooh, I did something correct. I have finally driven someone crazy enough to where they feel they have to correct me. Yeah, I mean, I learned to stay above water in a storm. Oh, that's funny. I'm trying to think of what I'm gonna add a couple layers to this because I have my leather needles. Do you know what's so sad? I use my leather needles so much in my sewing machine that like when I use a non-leather needle, I feel like it's not powerful enough.
You're
But it's all in my head.
It is all in your head. Just make sure it's sharp and pointy.
Because I think also recently conspiracy theories are a conspiracy theory till something proves you right.
Right?
And I bought like a fiver of standard needles from Michael's.
Yep.
I broke 3 of them. And then I put my leather needle in and it didn't break one time. So I'm like, oh, my machine only needs leather. Like, no, I'm just overzealous on certain projects.
Right. Were you sewing the right material with the right needle? And
No, I wasn't.
Okay, so that was not the needle's fault that you abused it.
Oh, smell you later, work. Oh, you're leaving. Good. Get out of there. It's probably freezing.
Good job, Liz.
All I'm saying is having your drunk dad yelling at you from the passenger seat while you're 16 is great training for hectic and complex driving.
Here, replace that with your mother, but yes. Though not intoxicated, but yeah. I'm getting the F out. Yeah, good job, Liz.
I like that. 100 years ago, I bought a manual car. And my dad was like, do you know how to drive that? And I was like, no. He's like, all right, I'll teach you. He drove up to the college and he gets out of the car, throws the keys at me and starts walking. I said, where are you going? And he says, pick me up when you figure it out. Yeah, he was halfway home. Before I figured it out.
That is a machine that I've not ever had experiences with. And I'm lame that way, and
it's you control the car, but you're using all of your feet.
Okay, right, that I understand. So it's like a sewing machine, but twice as terrible.
The only time I ever hated a stick car was in traffic or in San Francisco. Don't ever bring a stick car to a hilly area. It's awful.
Right, because you've got hills and traffic, so it's the worst of all the things that I've just heard you say.
Oh, but I had a 1983 VW Rabbit, and that car was all steel, and it was like a truck.
Yeah.
And I drove that thing all the way up to Oregon, but I learned living in Northern Oregon, you cannot have a ragtop car.
Oh, right, because it's wet.
It's just asking for more. I sold it to somebody who was like, you drove a convertible up here? They were shocked there was a convertible in Oregon. They were like, I'll take it.
Are you sure, Kilroy, that you've wanted to learn a stick forever, but you don't really find them here in Pennsylvania? Look for
Crazy.
A farmer with a diesel tractor. Aren't they all stick shifts?
I don't know. Modern tractors are automatic.
Oh, well, then I live in the dinosaur. My brain is in the dinosaur age.
Like the one I sit on all the time, that's an old school tractor that has 16 gears. The Kubota, when I sit on it, it says hello to me.
Oh God, do they have a knockoff sewing machine? Because there are machine parts that I've not seen a Kabuta sewing machine, but I'm surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised. Honestly, Japanese companies, they put their names on anything. Just like
Right.
Husqvarna, just
Yep.
like because
Yep.
there you can get all like type in Husqvarna Viking and it's not just sewing machines.
No, same with Brother. I have a Brother printer fax
Oh
machine.
yeah. That's another thing. I have a Brother typewriter.
Okay.
I will bust that out one day. And I'm almost tempted to go get my weird typewriter just to show Kilroy. But I just lit my J up.
Right, I'm busy right now.
I have the oddest collection of the most random things on earth. That reminds me.
I didn't because I moved and lived in tiny homes and
So to be controversial,
bring it on.
what Brother made a fuckload of typewriters. Mine was in the automatic, like was in the. This is from the 90s.
Okay, I remember. Yes, those were at the principal's, the secretaries at the principal's office.
I think my dad swiped it from some job he had.
Right.
As he was walking out, he's like, "Oh, I'm taking this."
That's why I have exceptional loads of. Well, no, that's not why I have lots of pharmaceutical papers of things when drugs were new and models from the 60s.
I love swag from conventions, but before I go off on that, so I have a really weird collection of t-shirts. Okay. And like I go to a thrift store that they tell you these clothes come from people who are going to jail for life or were busted in a major sting, and the LAPD literally gives their clothes to these people. I mean, to this specific thrift store that I go to. Okay,
Is
so
this
I have
true,
found.
or is this just a selling point?
Why? Because I speak Spanish, I asked them, like, where did you get this KKK shirt from?
Yeah.
And she told me because, like I'll show you. I'll show you some of the shirts.
Okay, I want to see because I can see this as a marketing ploy, and I could also see this as being real. But Kilroy says, my main typewriter's from 1961. Oh my goodness, made in Hartford, Connecticut. I was there once. It's 95% American steel. You can use it as a boat anchor if you wanted. I believe it.
Oh my god. So a long time ago, I was at a thrift store. I made a video about it. This woman walks up to me and she asked me in Spanish, "What are you gonna? Do you know that's a sewing machine? What are you gonna do with it?" I looked at her and I said, "I'm gonna use it as a boat anchor." And she didn't get physical, but she didn't like my answer. She damn near. She was like 4'8".
That was the abuelita who was like, yeah, no, that I wanted that machine.
She was so mad, and her friends surrounded me. It was so strange. And I was like, I was holding onto the sewing machine in the thrift store that I'm talking about right now. I'm like literally have double armed on a Kenmore, and I'm like, this is so not worth $25. This is so not worth $25.
Yeah, it's okay. Like, I will give it a good home.
In my old videos, I said I in my for a year and a half ago, I made a video about how I got surrounded by hobbits. I thought I was gonna get jumped by old ladies. I do that too. Ask a stupid question, give a stupid answer. Oh, I do that all, man. Especially if I'm feeling froggy that day, do not run up on me. Do not, because I will give you the dumbest answer of all time. Or like people ask me, they're like, "You're a sewer?" I say, "No, I'm a golfer." As I'm holding a sewing machine, like, what do you think I'm doing? You know, that's my Big Lebowski answer, though. Okay, so, and these are some are recent, some are like ones I've had for years. I wear this under my jumpsuit at work.
Are
And I got
street.
all of these from the same thrift store. Okay, so this one is a little bit more hidden. Okay, it has 3 Ks on it, and I caught it in the store. I don't know if it's a dog whistle but it's a power coating company. Okay, they're from Fayetteville, North Carolina, and there's 1, 2, 3 Ks, and it just randomly has a random K right here. Am I reading too much into it?
Hard to say. The location of printing is sus, and
Because if you do that, it's KKK. So if you put your arm back, it literally, like from the back, it literally says KKK.
that was some impressive graphic design. If that is truthful,
And I am
that,
literally the
that
guy
took
at the
some
thrift,
thoughtfulness.
I'm literally the guy at the thrift store, like, that's worth 50 cents. Hold this. So I tell tell Junior, hold this. Let's see. Oh, I wear this all the time. George Bush, the Miss Me. This was the We Hate Obama shirt.
Yeah.
Okay. So back in the day, I had a contest with my father of offensive t-shirts. And we'd walk in, and one day I walked into the office wearing this shirt, and he's like, all right, you won. Take it off before you get jumped.
McCain Palin. Oh.
Where I'm from, it'll get you beat up. Where I'm from, if you wear a McCain Palin t-shirt, someone will be like, are you on drugs? They'll make sure that you didn't get that shirt from a homeless shelter, and then they'll beat you up.
Yeah, see, that's just a Tuesday where I live, so
This one I got from that same thrift store, and it's pure. This brand is called Pure White Clothing.
Oh, the pinup model outfit. That's my shirts and my bikini I'm making a yellow polka dot print.
I wear this on a motorcycle. No one has ever said a word to me.
I think you left them in a conundrum with that one.
No one has ever, but like I find all these super, and there's way worse ones. And Isaiah is good for spotting the Confederate flag. Like there's way ones that I won't even show on stream. There's one he recently bought where I'm like, okay, the joke, like we get the joke. You can't wear that around anyone else. And your grandmother might slap you if she sees you wearing it.
Twice last Tuesday and then back again. But Liz does. I'm sure you do love old typewriters for all your poetry, Liz.
I might go fish it out. I can't remember because I've recently reshuffled the middle bedroom, and there's so much stuff in there.
You're sewing a hat tonight. There's no typewriters tonight. That's Monday or on Sunday.
You're right. I'm almost done too.
Right. Come on. I have lots of pieces and nothing finished, so somebody's got to have accomplished something successfully, though I did do lots of things.
You know what? We did something successful tonight. This is definitely a victory for Team Sewing. I got doxxed and didn't go to jail, and it's all possible. And I learned that in the state of California, it is literally illegal to share people's information. So don't be, when you're willy-nilly with your camera, don't show their address.
Yes, we all inadvertently learned things, and we're not supposed to learn things around here. That was just a mistake.
Yeah, it's definitely my table.
Yes, it is. Because why would you abuse a blade on a chunky table like that? You don't treat your drill that way. You don't treat your kitchen knives that way. Why abuse your sewing tools that way?
Because I was today years old when I found out that the surface is really the issue.
Well, I'm glad. Well, good. At least you learned today and not tomorrow.
Also, I have, it's funny. This table is filled with mats, but I have put so much junk on it because everybody needs a crazy cat lady.
Yes.
I have a crazy cat lady, and her cats are around here somewhere, but they're magnets and they stick to her.
Oh my God. How is your one-eyed cat? I was thinking of them earlier today.
He's a soldier. That cat, I'm this close to naming the cat. It's
Odin.
either Osiris or Odin because they both had one eye.
I'm partial to Odin, but I have my reasons. But you
like
you know them better.
I totally, like, I told you, like, I am not necessarily a spiritual person, but like I feel like this cat is like gonna take me on a side quest one day.
Well, if you've read the stories of Odin, you don't have to be religious to appreciate mythology from other cultures. And the Norse mythology is
This animal needed help, and I was more than willing to provide it. And I think that's what the important thing is, you know.
Yep.
Oh yeah, cat's getting big. It's just it's crazy. The cat has one eye and a story. What a hell of a story.
Just like we all do.
And I told all my neighbors that I speak to, I was like, be nice to my cat. If you see my cat, be nice to my cat.
Right, because they might be hunting for snacks up the street from the little old lady who doesn't know that they're getting food somewhere else.
My mom asks me that all the time. She's like, I hope your cat's double dipping. She's like, I hope your cat has like 4 houses it goes to.
One of my aunties, one of my auntie's cats did do that, and then finally she was like, you're much happier with the lady up the street, so you can go hang out there. And that was kind of a sad day.
That is sad, but I love, like, on Twitter, I love seeing when people, like, they have signs on their door. They're like, my cat's not homeless, it's just hungry, stop feeding my cat. Or like,
right, which is also why, I don't know, where I live, actually in all the places I've lived that have been way too close to emergency service stations and major thoroughfares, my cats go outside under supervision, but they're not outside cats. They're inside cats who get pampered. But that's just me.
That's another thing. I'm so used to dogs. Like, I treat dogs like people. So cats are so independent. The cat's like, feed me, gives me a high five, and I'll see you later, you know?
Right. My babysitters had dogs, but I never had dogs growing up, and they frankly terrified me. So I don't understand them, and I never like lived with one. And I don't know, cats and we just are weird and get along better.
Kilroy, I got doxxed so bad that, like, because my dumb A always shows the front of my house in some of my videos, like, the person who got arrested, they had multiple references, so I got doxxed hard. Our cats will disappear for days sometimes. I like to think they go to the casino. Same.
I could not deal with that stress. No, my cats need to, if they don't sleep in my bed, which my current 2 do not most of the time, I need to at least know they're in the house.
Every time if I don't see the cat for a day, every time the cat comes back, I'm like, what do you do? Because it lays in my backyard all day, you know, and I'm like, where do you go? Like, I'm this close to putting a spy cam on that cat. I have one.
Don't you have a little mini GoPro that you can put a necklace on them and or a little an earring GPS AirTag?
My father, for some weird reason, was obsessed with spy cams, and so I have literally lapel-sized cameras, and they're durable.
Right,
I have the first generation of GoPro. But that's clunky and huge. Like
No, you need, what is that tiny?
Oh, you roboted out. Put one of those Apple tracker things on it. Those AirTags work. Those Apple AirTags, those things, people are freaking out. Someone found one in their car and they're like, I'm being tracked.
No, there was that. Are you referencing the news anchor from Atlanta who air tracked her ex-husband's car and inadvertently the nanny by putting one in the kid's stroller?
No, I'm referencing a washed up rapper because I'm obsessed with people that are from my era.
Okay, well, I think this human is younger than we are, but yeah, that happened in Atlanta. The case, Who Did It? Law Talk with Mike showed the depositions. That was something.
You know, with today's technology, it trips me out. Like, you can't hide. Like, I have Spokio, okay, because of my job. Like, if I have someone's first or last name, I can run their name and it'll tell me everything they've ever done, their criminal record. Like, it's weird. It's weird. There's been people I've ran from the internet, and I'm like, that explains a few things. And anybody can do it. Anybody, because I pay $30 a month for this service because of my job, because I'm constant, like, you know, to work at my job, you have to have certs,
Right?
and they're easily faked. Like, I want to know if you're really who you say you are. You know,
Right.
I'm the guy who calls your references.
As you should. And yep, I've been fingerprinted in a couple of states for things.
That's what I'm saying, and like, the DOJ background check doesn't protect people who float around from job to job. Like,
Right.
there's ways around the DOJ. There's people that, especially like the job I have, it attracts control freaks and sociopaths because they're control over another human being. You know?
Yes. I think that's a common theme of all the things we've been talking about.
And when people wonder why I like to be as analog as possible and learn about how to find out if you're being tracked or spied on, you are. If you, like, anything you do nowadays, that's why when I got doxxed, I was like, crap, like, I really can't hide. It was a violation. It really felt like a violation. Like, now all these shrubs know where I live, exactly where I live.
Yeah.
I agree, Kilroy. I agree with you.
It's weird having like a public facing address and then other things.
I think because we have this weird Hollywood rule where we leave famous people alone here. So, like, I leave people alone. Like, a long time ago, my son went to a school up the street from my house, and there were you'd rarely see dads dropping off their kids, so all the dads kind of befriended each other. And one day, a mom that I was friends with, her daughter was in special needs class as well. She comes up to me one day and she grabs me and she's like, "Ninja, do you know who you're friends with?" I said, "No, scruffy beard, he looks like a hobo." She's like, "That's Josh Duhamel." I said, "What?" Coolest guy on planet Earth. Coolest guy. And I could say his name because none of our kids are way past elementary now, you know. But like, he is super famous. He was married to Fergie, and he was just a dude. Showed up with a beard, smelled like pot like the rest of us. He was just a normal dude. And
he's just like every other dad.
Somebody, like, I got doxxed by my neighbor, and then somebody in the community shared it amongst all the YouTubers who hate me or are indifferent. And then somebody got arrested in front of my house, and it was all on tape. And the cops came to me and were like, "This person had their address in your pocket and admitted they got it offline. I'm sorry, online." But the cops, they didn't tell me if this person had a weapon. They wouldn't tell me they just wouldn't tell me anything because we have crazy laws here in California that protect the crepes. And so you have the right to anonymity, but if someone accuses you of a crime, you should have the right to know. Like, if someone is about to do a crime against you, you should have the right to know, like, hey, they had an axe in their car and rope, or like, you know, if you feel comfortable talking about it, of course. Oh no, it's okay, Gilroy. That's the whole reason I did this stream, was my victory lap of like, shove it, you didn't win, you know. Like, it's just really weird to me about why people care that much. I literally have like a real rivalry with people. I just don't interact with them anymore. We're not friends. Like, oh well, I'm old and bitter and jaded. Like, if you don't get along with someone, okay. The one thing that shocked me about this crowd is they didn't realize the internet is humongous. You can find friends in all kinds of corners of the internet. It's not just our little sects. And I think that's what bothers people with me, is that I am a million things, but not one of them defines me. You pick a label, I'm that. Okay, I'm that too, but it doesn't define me. And I clash with people who wear certain things like a badge of courage because like I use it to empower myself. I don't use it to impede me. And if someone says something in detriment towards me, I'll laugh at you. Like you could call me. There are people who tried to like racially insult me, and they'll trip over every race because they don't know which one I am. It makes me laugh. You know, it's just craziness. It's just absolute. And like I said, I've been streaming almost. I've been hanging around the internet. Like when I started my YouTube channel 4 years ago, I didn't think that like doxing. You hear about it all the time. I used to watch the Debate Me Bro crowd, and they dox each other all the time. They swat each other, like, but I didn't think it was real until it happened to me. Until the cops were at my house telling me, like, "Well, you dodged one here." I'm that way too. If you don't like me, then I'll just walk away. There are literally 8 billion people out there. I could just probably tell 2 people and say, thank you. I'm the same way. Like, and the internet is big enough for all of us. And this particular person uses like the 2 people who mainly doxed me were like, ha ha ha, Sewing had his moment in the sun kind of thing. Not realizing that they were putting my family at risk, and that's the problem. And then when I called out the main person who was doxing me, they said basically, "Oh, I'm a protected class and I'm mentally ill. I can do whatever I want." And as somebody who works with people of from MS all the way to Down syndrome to anything you could possibly think of, never use your disabilities as an excuse. I wouldn't let my son use autism as an excuse. I wouldn't let, you can't, I don't know. So there was a lot of people rallying around this person, not realizing they doxed me. I swear the Debate Me Bro crowd are gonna wind up dying from a heart attack or a blood clot. That shit's real. Kilroy, I'm not kidding you. Someone I really respect lived to be old because they didn't give an F. They didn't care. They didn't let one thing bother them. And I'm emotional. I'm man enough to admit it. Like, I'm an emotional being, but I try not to let things ruin me, Because, and I hate to say it, and I hope, Mom, if you're watching, I'm quoting you, and I would never admit it, but it's not that serious. My mom used to say that all the time, like, bro, take it. You won't feel like this in 20 minutes. And it's not that serious. And the Debate Me, and I think that's part of the problem too, is I don't debate. If I say something, that's it. And then, hey, you can debate it if you want, but like I said what I said. And I stand by it. And I think a lot of the time, and also a lot of these crowds are where I'm glad we have these forums, because that's where manipulators live. At least they're doing it to each other and not other people.
Yeah, let's hope they keep it in their own boxes. But that's also why we need to know what they're up to and not force them into these weird, darker holes that makes it harder to know what's going on.
But do you think, like, a lot of the time I feel it's people claim to be something and they run up to somebody who actually is that, and then they're I found this in the ally crowd of people who obsess over the LGBTQIA plus. They have this ideal in their head, okay? Then they meet someone who's not that stereotype, and they'll tell them, you're not this or you're not that. Wait a minute, you're straight. You don't tell anybody what, you know what I'm saying? So I think there's this weird, and like, I don't know. I don't even know what to call it anymore. Entitlement. I don't know. I don't know what you would call it,
No, I get it. It's folks who make up these stories and have these ideals in their head, but don't actually know real humans. And they're like, we're all infallible.
Yes.
Not every, the best example I have is like the day that I was at the bar and my yoga teacher was smoking cigarettes and doing tequila shots. And the pedestal that I had of like what I thought like your yoga teacher should be was completely demystified, and I was like, oh, they're just a human.
Absolutely. My predecessor used to always say, like, imagine your teacher in the bathroom. They're just a person.
Yep, we all
Imagine
put
that.
our pants on well and good time.
It's sad but true.
It's not sad. It's just reality.
I love what Gilroy said about the debate me bro crowd. It's true. I probably won't even fucking remember petty shit from a month ago. And see, that's another thing. The one thing that drove me mentally insane is the person who doxed me has literally hated me for over 2 years. I have not spoke. I blocked this person 2.5 years ago, and have not had contact until I approached them in African Humanist chat. Was like, hey, you doxed me, you dummy. So, like, it's the cray cray crowd is what it is.
They think because can identify with something that's protected, that they have privilege that's above the law, and the answer is yeah, no.
It just it's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Laugh out loud. That's like when I found out my science teacher worked in a butcher shop.
Oh, that's just sad that they didn't make enough as a teacher, unless they really love butchering and anatomy, in which case there's no better place than the butcher shop to safely hone your skills.
Times are, man, it's expensive out here. Like school teachers take summer jobs out here.
That's just sad.
And that's why we can't find a decent teacher anymore, because it's so sad. Like I said at the beginning of this stream, the state of affair in California school system. Oh no, I said that with Artie earlier. The state of California school system is scary. I received a college education by the 10th grade, and now we have children that can barely read and they're graduating high school. Our standards have dropped. And for as much gripe as LA used to get, our school systems were bar none. And I didn't even realize that until I went out in the real world, and people, like, the same things I learned in 10th and 11th grade, they were learning in college. So I hate this part, but I need a good brim on here. Like I said, man, like, if you ever want to start sewing, I'm going to give away a big secret. Most of it is penning and cutting.
It is. And being careful measurements depending on what you're making. Some things you can get away with being freeform and not measuring, and other things you have to, like, actually take your body's measurements and be honest with them and cut precisely.
It's so funny to say that. Like, I took a shortcut on the second pair of overalls I made, and I ended up having to go over and do it the right way anyways.
Right. It's the same. Measure twice, cut once.
Damn right. In construction and sewing, damn right.
It's the same thing. It's the same sides of the same thing.
Like George W. Bush said, is our children learning? I have a soft spot for W, but that's just because I met him and everybody thought he was Satan.
See, I know, as much as the horrible things being on stage with Hillary Clinton at the 75th commemoration for the 19th Amendment and the women's right to vote is still a special day in my heart.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I went to I inadvertently went to a football game that happened to be a Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson concert.
I came for the concert, the show, the sports, but I left for the show.
My a member of mine has unprecedented access to the Rose Bowl. and we got to go to the Super Bowl. And still to this day, I remember Mike Jack. I remember Whitney Houston, but I barely remember the game. I watch highlights and I was like, I was there. And I was a kid. I wasn't drinking. I wasn't anything. It was just one of that was the craziest concert I've ever been to. I'll tell you. I have never seen human beings tear down a stage so fast in my life, ever.
Right, because the crew is the main performers at those things.
Oh yeah. That's like I go to a lot of shows and the roadies never get the credit they should. Especially like because they're hungover when they're doing all that.
Seriously. Oh my god, we should hold on 1 second. Killer said, I can still remember these two women I used to work with. You know why they through France was spelled Franse. That I don't get. But Kilroy, no, Liz, I so hope you're not having to stand outside at the bus stop for 20 minutes to waiting for the bus. That blows.
She does.
Oh.
When I lived in Portland, I did the same. It was the worst. Do you know what's really funny? On my 4th winter, I was actually standing at a bus stop. I was wearing almost 6 layers of clothes. The wind came through me, and I was like, I'm going back to California.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, like, I'm going back. It was my 4th winter, and I was like, I don't know if I can handle another winter here. I don't know if I could do it.
Fair.
It might have been my 5th. It gets blurry after a while.
It does. Winter freezes your brains.
Because I didn't realize being from such a fair weather place that people actually experience like winter depression is real. Like,
yep.
I had no idea. I was just some dumb doty-eyed kid with thinking I was Mary Tyler Moore. I was gonna make it after all.
Portland's not New York, kid.
Oh, but you know what's so funny? I made it in New York. I made it in LA. Portland chewed me up and spit me out. I came home after 12 years of traveling around. I came back. Oh, that's perfect because it's gonna bend. Oh, that's perfect. All right.
Let's see here. Liz says nice and lots of pig. Oh, pork pie hats. Kilroy, I meant thought interested in. Oh, I meant thought instead of through. Stupid autocorrect. No worries. Shiz happens. Liz
autocorrect
sounds like a class act cat.
I autocorrect and I do not get along. I want to take it off my phone, but there are certain words that I cannot spell. And I'm mad enough to admit it. Do you know these precision machines? Oh, they all sound alike, but this is a clanky guy because I put this thing through the ringer. Oh,
I know, but your sound is nice that it's not like overpowering. I worry about the noise being too loud and the electrics in my house not being able to handle a sewing machine, my camera, my mic, and my computer running all at the same time.
if it wasn't for the tech crew, the performers, thank you. I've seen a lot of Slayer shows. They do miracles. They create the pits of hell in like 25 minutes. Where all of a sudden there's pyrotechnics coming out and there's red lights, and Slayer shows changed my life when I was a kid. Absolutely changed my life.
I know, I'm just moving fabric around the base for my polka dot bikini top because I don't think I have enough of the polka dot, so I'm going to sew the sequins, and I don't know if I'm going to do the front and the back. I haven't decided yet. We'll see, and I've got lots of sequins to sew, plus a corset cut out because why not be ambitious if nothing less?
I have a hobby of starting over ambitious projects. That is like literally, I look at myself like, oh god, another overambitious project, dude. Like, but I am a real life insomniac, so like it helps pass the time. Sewing is good if you can't sleep.
I might have to start doing that because sometimes but I have to be in the right, like, I have to have enough stuff started to know where I'm at with where I'm feeling, because I can't do everything always, but I can do some things sometimes.
Oh, totally. Like I've been sewing my face off out of pure nervousness, and
Right.
this week is the first week where I don't have a coat or something made by this day. Because I was so worried, and then I wanted, I'm like, oh, and then last night I was like, I like it didn't, I was like already convicting myself in my head.
Oh.
I was, we do these weird self-punishing things,
Yeah.
and like, no.
Right. Let's
And I
see
think that's
here.
oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna catch up on the chats here. Let's see here. Where did we leave off? Is that
Otherwise,
Kilroy? I saw it and I can't read from the little thing. I've watched a bunch of videos the unions put out showcasing their tech crews. They work their balls off. Yes, they absolutely do. No movie, theater, production, ballet, orchestra could manage without their tech. The talent can't survive without their tech. And Liz said, I never get doxxed, just called on chat because they always find my phone number. Shh, poopy, poopy, poopy. That is poopy, poopy, poopy.
oh, call me. I'm gonna play with you like a troll in The Hobbit. Call me.
Right. If there's more interesting fish to fry. Leave Liz alone.
Yeah, exactly. I hate bull. I rarely use the word hate. I dislike bullies.
Yeah.
I have a real disdain for bullies. Like, and that's why a lot of people online don't like me, because I stand up for myself.
Yeah.
Like you can't, especially the weird narcissistic type that constantly have to bully people. I don't get that.
Yeah.
Do you think that's like a underlying insecurity?
I'm starting to think so, because is it the combination of the internet and not seeing it back in the day? But this feels like a new phenomenon. Like, there was always bullies, but the way people lie and bully these days, I don't know. Maybe I was naive. I don't know. I don't know.
I think it is. Back in the day, we used to call it phone banging, when they'd call you like rah rah rah, because they could hide behind the telephone, because no one was there to check them, and the internet is that on steroids. It's anonymity, like Twitter is
Yeah.
a perfect example. Like, I don't act the same way on Twitter that I do on Facebook, because I'm friends with my mother and my uncle and my and like and my 5th grade teacher.
Fair.
So it just all depends.
Yeah, I do. It does seem like the platform makes a difference, and who's comfortable using it and their experiences. Because
I'll tell you, like, whenever, like, on Twitter, I can tell if I'm arguing with a minor, because they'll say like the N-word 100 times, or like, I'm like, oh, bro, you're at your mom's house. Have a good night, bro. Like,
Great. Enjoy the
just
basement couch.
yeah. I always think it's just some edgy teen, or like, there's a difference if someone screams, if someone calls you the F word online, okay? If someone's like, you're
The
an F,
4-letter or the 3-letter?
the 3-letter.
Okay.
It's different if you're online and someone says that, and then you're walking down the street and a pickup truck pulls up next to you and they scream that at you.
I know, because one of them's almost a compliment and the other one's like mean.
Yeah. You know what though? I've always, and I'm gonna say this to be mean, I've always considered like people who harass gay men, I consider them closeted.
Usually.
And I know it's overused and people always get mad when I say this, but sexuality in general, homosexuality is not uncommon. So when someone is repressed in anything, it comes out in ugly ways.
Yep.
And so, and it happens all the time in the Christian world. Like Ted Haggard is the most famous because not only did he like dudes, but he liked to smoke meth with his boyfriend in a hotel. And he was George Bush's old preacher, you know?
Right? Yeah.
Quote of the evening.
Like Jimmy Swaggart, who was just on America's Untold Stories, but
Twitter is hell in a cell, and Jimmy Swaggart was a piece of work.
But he could sing and play piano like something crazy.
He's always seemed like a cool celeb. I do, and Twitter is awful. I've recently and I don't blame Elon, but ever since Elon Musk has taken over, it's become the Wild Wild West. And I'm not anti-free speech, but I don't know where that line is before freedom of speech, and we've literally turned into that weird land in Pinocchio that used to scare me when I was a kid. When those kids are smoking cigars.
I think it's refinding itself, and he owns it, but he doesn't run it. So I think there's been a whole shift of upper level management and people and things, and I think the company's refinding itself because all corporations do that when there's huge infrastructure changes.
It's just and you know what, I've gained a ton of followers. The problem is the marketplace is still there for me, so I'm still there.
Yeah,
I really
nobody, but I'm okay.
You'll build up over time, and
it doesn't matter.
First, I liked the exposure because I wanted people to see all the crazy stuff I sell. But then when everything became political, I'm like, why am I here? Because I'm more about the art and less about fighting about social issues that I could kind of care less about, you know?
Fair.
Or, I'm of that age where I'll root for you, but if it's not if I'm not on that team, I'm not gonna go to your stadium.
And that's true too, and that's fair. That's a fair point.
It's so funny. I was actually having this conversation back in the day when I was a kid. I had a cigarette habit when I was my son's age. Okay, I don't know what's unhealthier. He was playing Call of Duty when I went in the house, but he was screaming so much that I was like, are you in distress? But no, he's just playing Call of Duty and yelling at some man in his 40s in Idaho or something. Yay, the bus is there. But where is that fine line? Because when I was a kid, we were mad disciplined, but we'd get away from our parents and light up cigarettes and drink some Boone's Farm. We thought we were grown, These kids, they don't have smoking habits, they don't have drinking habits, but their addiction is 10 times higher than anything I'd ever see. I didn't even know until I was in my 20s or 30s.
Right, because it seems like humans have always had addictive tendencies. It's just what that addiction is.
Because, and the one thing about the internet, it's encouraged my child to read.
Well, that's good.
He'll learn about something, then he'll come to me and be like, hey, can we go here? Can we go to this museum? I'm like, heck yeah, we can. It's right down the street from here, So it's not all negative. And excuse me, because he's homeschooled, I can take him to the Getty on a Tuesday when no one's there.
Yep.
We can go to these really cool museums. Parking is always cheaper on a Wednesday, For the longest time, I had season passes, but those got out of control. All right, so we got the brim. Oh, that makes me look like a Frenchman.
Oh, I've got the timer in front of your head. Let me see here. Can I see this better? Oh, yes, that looks nicely firm, and
It's perfect. It's perfect size for the pork pie.
yup.
It's slowly coming together. Now I got to cut the head hole. This is where science is going to get involved. Pens
I
and
know
scissors.
radiuses and 3.124 in pi if you're going to be super fancy, or you just like take your protractor, no, your compass, and with a string and a drawing utensil.
Now I have the pork pie song stuck in my head.
Now all you need to start is to start smoking cigarettes again, and you'll fit right in. Yeah, that hat is reckoning to a back old day, but we should not encourage habits that have been foregone on.
It's funny. Every picture I looked up, it was like either some old B cop or something from a show, and they all had cigarettes or a beaten up suit. Pork pie is a working man's hat. Like I absolutely love the idea of a pork pie, and just the fact that it's called a pork pie is amazing.
And it's not a food to eat.
Well, like in the UK and Australia, they eat pies like meat pies and stuff.
Do you eat meat pies? I know. I need to make some because they bake them differently with that like cold pastry dough that they cook on the stovetop with boiling water in a fancy pan.
That is true. That is different than like our Marie Callender's pot pie.
Yes, by leaps and bounds.
I was addicted to those until I learned how to make my own, and I was like, oh, you can make them 10 times better with fresh ingredients.
Well, everything's better with fresh ingredients, but sometimes you don't know until you know.
That's the one thing I'm proud that I taught my son. Like, I'd always be like, oh, you like that? It's cheaper. Let's go to the grocery store. I'll teach you how to make it.
And now he kills you in the kitchen.
Oh, I've inadvertently created a health freak.
There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's what we need to encourage in the younger generations rather than this false ideals of what's normal and healthy and appropriate.
And I also found, like, from a addict standpoint, some of this food, like, man, it hits that frontal lobe. Some of the salt and sugar in our food is like drugs.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, you get people from other countries and they're like, I had an experience after I ate a taco in America.
I believe it.
Because we put so much salt and sugar in our food, you know, where in other countries that's unheard of. Like,
Yeah.
a long time ago, a couple years ago, I knew a woman in Australia, and one day I had a can of Pepsi. One can of Pepsi, the amount of sodium and sugar is the equivalent of a 1 liter of Pepsi in Australia. So the amount that we put in a can, they put in a full liter in Australia.
Oh, we're toast.
I was like, oh crap, that's not good. I was shocked. And in the UK, they're a little bit behind us. So they would have the same sodium, but it's a little bit bigger. It's a $1 can. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like the can is like 16 ounces instead of 12. I think
Okay.
it's 12 fluid ounces, the 16
Yep.
fluid ounces. But yeah, our country's crazy. There was this grocery store that I used to go to that sold Swanson microwave Popeyes for 75 cents. Same. I had an addiction to those with some hot sauce. Are you kidding me? I'm craving one right now.
I know, and Mark Short said they call meat pies Skippy burgers. That is funny. And Liz thought that was also funny. We
Oh, I
called
didn't
them
see
that
that.
because of how many kangaroos end up in them. Oh God!
So, still to this day, I do not eat McDonald's because my sister told me that they were made of horse in like 1989. And I like my friends were like, well, let's go to McDonald's. I'm like, nah, man, I don't want to go. So I doubt McDonald's makes any of the things out of horse.
No, but depending on where you lived in Eastern Europe, your family may have eaten that, and I can't shame them for such things.
One time in Mexico, because I speak Spanish, and they always assume that the people don't, but like a friend of mine jokingly asked, what is this actual beef? And the guy said in Spanish, well, do you see any stray dogs running around here?
Oh
But my friend didn't speak Spanish. And I looked at him like, he's like, what can I get for you? I was like, chicken.
Oh.
Oh yeah. But I think they do that just to mess with the tourists, you know. They say crazy because it's different. Like if you're a person of color, they assume you speak Spanish because most people in LA do. But like they mess with the tourists. Where is my precision of X-Acto knife?
I don't know. In the cupboard where you're not looking for it.
I just recently, I recently just covered that. I had to bring my keyboard back out because I have this obsession. I don't even like McDonald's fries anymore. I don't know why, but their fries suck nowadays. I had an addiction to their fries and their breakfast. Their breakfast, they put something in there that makes it tastier than it should be.
Yeah, those deep fried hash brown patty things, but I can live without them. But yeah,
I stopped eating fast food. A lot of fast food in my life improved.
Yeah,
my health improved. And that's not an indictment on anyone. I live in a place where I can get there's markets everywhere. They're like I can drive up the highway and there's farmland where people are selling food literally on the stand off their property, you know. So I get a lot of fresh food where I live.
here. Right, no, you're all good. All's good in the world.
I gotta find something to stab my pork pie with, but it's got to be something sharp.
You need an owl or an awl. Let's see here. Mine's sitting right next to me. No,
usually
a pencil.
Oh, here it is.
A pen.
I have a weird collection of X-Acto knives. That like instead of seam rippers, I use X-Acto knives sometimes. Oh,
fair. Awesome. And also surgical scalpels I've been seeing people use, and yeah. But the curved ones, which is interesting, I should order me a couple.
You know what's so funny? They're in that drawer that's covered right there. That would make this so much easier. Gosh. I always say I'm William the hard way and then my last name. I do things the hard way on purpose sometimes.
I think we all do.
I think it's human nature. I need to hear that. Like it is like to err is human, right?
It is. And we think we're like, oh, we're gonna do it better, even though in the back of our heads we know like this is gonna be terrible. You know there's a better way. Why are you doing it this way? And it's like, I don't know, because I want to. And you're like, I should have done it the right way the first time. I knew better.
Oh gosh, that's like I told you I crashed the shop truck and I was like, I can't give safety speeches anymore.
Right.
Because I'm not safe.
Exactly.
No, this just looks bad. This is nepotism on steroids.
Right. Let's see here. Killer said, speaking of X-Acto knives, I tried to buy a pack of blades the other day and they were completely out of stock in my area. I was floored. That was the last thing I expected to have a shortage. Fair. I usually just buy off Amazon. So
X-Acto knives? Oh, I could make a killing in your area right now. I have boxed his a bunch. I have like that's why the second you mentioned a curved X-Acto, I was like, damn it, they're in the drawer right there. But I pulled out my keyboard because I know how to play the guitar and the banjo, and I challenged myself like every year. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna learn how to play the keyboard. I'm on year 3. And all that happened is Isaiah knows how to play the keyboard.
Hey, that's not a loss though, in
Oh,
the
yeah.
grand scheme of things. And
But I'm obsessed with learning new things and new skills.
yeah,
I wonder if that's a thing. I have to look that up now because like a couple years ago, like during COVID, there was a tractor parts shortage, and like all of a sudden, tractor parts went from like $200 to $2,000, and then the price went back down. Like recently with the eggs, man, they used that
Yeah.
as an excuse to gouge us here. To just gouge us down. Like, okay, I get it. Everything's made with eggs.
right now we buy eggs off the street for $6 an egg.
Exactly. Like, I could go down where the farms are and get it super cheap. At the grocery store, it's outrageous right now. Where's my notes before I finish this pork pie? Because there was something else I was going to bring up.
I don't know.
I randomly jot down notes, but sometimes I don't know if it's I dress like Val Kilmer, Fred Sanford, Willie Nelson, and Marty McFly.
Fair.
Okay, so recently in an auction, the first iPhone was sold. Guess how much money it was sold for?
Oh, it was like $200,000, like something stupid.
$63,000. 63,000 for. Do you know? Hey, if they're buying old iPhones, I have a museum in my house. I had to write that down.
Yeah, Christy.
I couldn't effing believe it when I saw that. I was like, huh? Are you kidding me? $63,000 for an effing and you know it was some yuppie my age with more money than brains.
Yep.
Some new money kind of guy, you know, like oh yeah. Uh-oh. All right, this one's gonna get loud.
What are you abusing over there? What are you trafficking over there?
It's of course I don't. It's not
Hey,
threaded.
hands! Right, you're making up for all the noise in there.
He loves it when I'm streaming because I'm not all up in his business. Like, did you turn this in? Did you do this? Did you do this?
You're home.
That's
Did you take a shower? Did you cook us dinner yet?
He's gonna figure out one day that I've officially quit, and he's gonna be like, "Wait a minute, you haven't cooked in a while. Wait a minute."
I'm sure you still make pancakes once a week.
I do. It's kind of funny you would say that when it comes to like cornbread or pancakes or like shrimp. I'm like, no, we need to cook this properly right now. Like,
Yep, shrimp and grits. Now, stat. I
have a very like I eat a lot of fish, like, and right now it's Lent season, so all the fish is on sale. It's affordable,
especially on Friday. Oh, oh, fish and chips on Fridays at the
and like I'm not even Catholic, but I partake in all the sales and all the half offs. You know, I'm gonna go to McDonald's and get their fish and fillet for $1.
Right, I'm here for the bargain.
Because that is literally just a fried piece of fish on a bun with tartar sauce.
Yes.
Like, you can't mess that up.
You can, but it's usually still edible.
And I don't know who needs to hear this, but in America, we're all eating Alaskan polyp. So no matter what you think you're eating Alaskan polyp. All right, you're doing good. You're doing good. Oh,
oh, don't die now. You're chunking along. Something sounds funny.
It's my machine telling me I have too much thread in there.
Okay.
The Hosky, it clicks heavy when it. Oh, it is sewing. Okay, good. Keep going. What are you stuck on?
Right, don't get. You can do it, baby. You can do it. Come on, just a little bit farther. Just a little bit farther.
There you go.
Let's see here.
One more for prosperity, and then we'll do the pork pie dance.
All right, and Mark says, I'm set for X-Acto blades. Thanks, AliExpress. They're not the sharpest, though. Yeah, I've heard the same thing about the Dritz pins, glass head pins. They're not the same that they used to be. And Killeray says, that's one of the few nice parts about living in an area with a bunch of Catholic churches. All the fish fries. Yes, I miss Friday fish fry at the Rainbow Grill. Oh, and Hedwig's Fish Market.
Oh, now I'm hungry all over again.
I know.
I went
Food I gotta get off
crazy.
so I can eat because I'm eating on stream feels weird.
I still haven't got used to that either. Well, you know what? The pork pie is finished-ish. Almost there. I have to cut the head hole more.
Hey, oh, you've got a hat though. I saw it. It was on your head.
But do you have anything you'd like to shill?
I will be around on the YouTubes and Rumbles on Sunday at 3:30 Pacific Standard Time, 12:30 Eastern Time, and I'm on the Instagrams and the Twitters at the same thing. Come check me out. I keep saying I'm going to post more on locals. There's just check out all the places where I'm at because you can support weirdos like me and Godless if he gets his fanny over there, and it's way better than the YouTube. So yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, look!
I made a pork pie. Right at the end of the stream, I made the pork pie. It fits. Measuring
Perfect
work.
timing.
All I have to do is flip out the bill. I actually did what I said I was going to do on a stream today. Usually I just put it in the title so people know I'm a sewing channel.
Right, but you did it today. You said it and you completed stuff. And I did a whole bunch of little things and random pieces that needed to get done. So, all right, folks.
It was I thank everybody. I do. Oh, I want to make a whole suit for this and everything. It's going to be a ratty suit too.
All with an extra long cape and a frayed bottom to look like it dragged across the floor.
Part of the pork pie is wearing like a crappy suit and tie with the long coat, you know, and a drabby face. Like, oh, you got me out of bed at 3:00 in the morning. What's going on?
Yep.
Thank you, everybody.
I'm here for it.
As always, like I always say, reinforce your seams, be yourself, and I will definitely see you next time. I'll be back on Monday doing my usual sewing mayhem. If you have a Twitter, go subscribe to Phoenix, because I know we're all jaded with Twitter, okay? But Phoenix, you know, she needs some love on Twitter, so go go find Phoenix's Twitter. And with that being said, just remember, you can try to dox me, but you can't stop me. You can never, with my pork pie on, you can never keep a good sewing down. I will see you next time. Rock out with your clock out. Oh, hold on. Does it end? Oh, not yet. And